All right, welcome. It's been a month since we got together, so this is awesome. Good to see everybody, a good crowd out tonight. Thank you all for coming. If we can please call the roll.
Mayor Brikers,
Here.
Vice Mayor Albritton,
Present.
Councilmember Hartman,
Here.
Councilmember Jablonski,
Here.
Councilmember Kaczynski.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Great, thank you. If you'll please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have a couple of special guests and presentations this evening, which I'm excited about. We want to welcome Archbishop McCarthy and all the folks from there. We were just talking up here that it's amazing, 25 years, who can imagine? But we have a special proclamation that we'd like to present this evening, and I've got some folks from Archbishop that would like to say a few words, and I'd like to hear what they have to say. So let me invite them up. Sophia Iguanzo? I probably got that wrong, Sophia. I apologize. And you are the historian, correct? Yeah. So awesome.
I'm
Great.
the SGA historian.
Excellent. Welcome.
So, good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Sophie Nguanzo, and I'm the SGA historian at McCarthy. On behalf of the student body, thank you for this recognition for our school's 25th anniversary. We are very proud to be a part of the Southwest Ranches community. And thank you for your support for our request to the state to designate the street in front of our campus as Archbishop Edward McCarthy High School Way. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. So we have a couple other speakers, but before we do, Russell, if I could ask you to please read into the record the proclamation.
Certainly, Mayor. This is a proclamation for Archbishop Edward A. McCarthy High School's 25th anniversary. Whereas, as a result of a feasibility study completed by the University of Miami in 1993, the Archdiocese of Miami authorized the construction of a new Roman Catholic high school in South Broward, becoming the first new Catholic high school built in the Archdiocese in nearly 30 years. And whereas the site in what is now the town of Southwest Ranches was selected for the location of this new school, with a groundbreaking ceremony taking place on April 27, 1997. And whereas the school was named after Archbishop Edward A. McCarthy in honor of the many contributions he made to the South Florida community, and whereas the first phase of construction began in 1997 and included a 21-room classroom building, a 300-seat chapel, an air-conditioned gymnasium, and locker rooms, and 3 athletic fields to accommodate up to 800 students. And whereas the second phase of construction began in 2002 and included 2 new buildings with additional classrooms, a state-of-the-art media center, fine arts theater, computer labs, and offices for administration, student services, admissions, guidance, and athletics. And whereas several additions to the campus have been made over the years and include additional classrooms, fitness center, athletic center, locker rooms, broadcasting studio, science labs, and most recently, a multi-purpose athletic field with turf replacement and scoreboard. And whereas in 2011, the school introduced the iPad as the primary learning tool used by students, making it the first school in South Florida to use this technology. And whereas Archbishop Edward A. McCarthy High School has been designated as a school of excellence by the Catholic Education Honor Roll and an Apple Distinguished School. And whereas the school has won many national and state athletic and academic championships, including in baseball, golf, volleyball, soccer, and robotics. And whereas the school currently has 1,750 students enrolled and nearly 10,000 alumni. And whereas on September 6, 2022, Archbishop Edward A. McCarthy High School officially began to celebrate its 25th anniversary, starting with a special 25th anniversary Mass celebrated by Archbishop Thomas Wensky, kicking off the first of many school-wide celebrations taking place throughout the year, with the most recent being the school's 25th anniversary gala held on January 20th, 2023. Now therefore be proclaimed by the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, congratulating Archbishop Edward A. McCarthy High School on its 25 years of Catholic education in our community and supports the designation by the state of Florida for the portion of Flamingo Road in front of the school to be designated as Archbishop Edward A. McCarthy High School Way, dated this 26th day of January 2023 by our Mayor, Steve Brightcruz.
Awesome. All right. You know what? Let's do this. Let's go down. I just want to present and maybe take some pictures, and then you all can speak after that. I think that would be maybe the best option. We have somebody take some pictures. Yeah. And I got a hat. Yeah. I don't know about that. But I got a hat.
I have in my office the study, the football sign by the entire community. From when they first had their first school with the light. So come on over and get a picture. Everyone in the town, football sign by the entire community. Accepted on behalf of the town. So I brought it for Steve. Don't start. Don't start. I'm standing tall. 2, 1. I bring my own steps to him. That better?
Yeah.
And then if I could ask Principal Richard Jean to come up and say a few words. Oh, okay, you won the short straw? Okay, Tony, always good to see you, welcome.
Thank you so much for this honor, and I've been blessed to be at the school from 1998, so I've seen it grow, unincorporated Broward County to where we are now in Southwest Ranches. And a lot of what we've done is because of your community and what you have done with Mayor McKay and all of you, that we greatly appreciate the support, because without the community, we're just a school. And thank you for that opportunity. It's an honor to be here in front of you and not have to ask for anything. which is not the norm. But thank you so much on behalf of Mr. Jean, the rest of the administration. It's a tremendous honor. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Thank you all as well. It has been an amazing partnership, and you know, we're always proud to have you all here and to partner in every way we can. So thank you. Good. All right. You all are welcome to stay for the rest of the program, but I suspect you're also welcome to return to your homes and enjoy the rest of the evening as well. So, all right. Yeah, absolutely. All right. The next item on our agenda is a presentation for the Parks Foundation.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council.
I didn't
George,
get a hat for the Park Foundation, otherwise I would have worn it, but, you know.
George Morris, again, on behalf of the Ashtonite Parks Foundation, a.k.a. Southwest Ranches Park Foundation. As everybody knows, we put on a carnival January 12th through 16th. And I have to give thanks first and foremost to my board members, Rick Bell, sitting over here to my left, myself, George Morris, Vice President. Rick Bell is actually the president. Barbara Gonzalez, Elizabeth Ezinski, Barbara Lester sitting here as well, Stuart, Sage Sameta, and Delia and Marie Nix. So those are our main core group. So I just want to thank everybody being able to pull this carnival together. So I'm very excited to announce the carnival actually did well. How well, I've kept it to myself. I haven't told anybody. I haven't told December. I haven't told my president, nobody, not even my wife. But before I talk about those numbers, I put together a little slideshow just for some people who went to the carnival, some people who didn't see the carnival. Russell, go ahead and roll the bean footage. So obviously that was just a promotion poster. I'm just going to go through these really quickly here, as fast as Russell can do it. So this is a drone shot that I took. It gives a different perspective. That's an overview of the carnival. We had a large swing this year. We had the Ferris wheel. We had the Pharaoh, the bumper cars to the left. You can kind of see the parking in the back. It was really a very beautiful sight, beautiful weather, beautiful day. No, the drone didn't hit anybody. But you can see the people that were there. That was during the weekend. This was the first night on Thursday. It was actually a very cold night. A cold front came through, so December and I were drinking hot chocolate. That's Sage, myself, in December. This was live music. We had a band there. This is some of the music that played during the event. We had it there in the grassy area. They were called the Hialeah Hillbillies. Thanks to them, they came out. They actually donated their time. We had people sitting in the grassy area there. We had chairs. This is right when it started. We had a lot more people come. So it was just a wonderful time. You can see the carnival in the background. So trying to have more live music next year. So people look forward to hopefully having more live music and maybe a stage. This is just Gentle Teeth that was out there. They were one of our large sponsors. And Astor Knight, he came out there. The man, the myth, the legend, he was out there. He actually came out one night and enjoyed it. And he had such a great time. He actually came back and rode the Ferris wheel. So we got him on the Ferris wheel. He went around the Ferris wheel. This is, some strangers there. This is some of the rides that we had there just to show the type of rides we have. Again, the Ferris wheel and that other thing called the Screamer that went around 360. This is just some general photographs there of the actual event. More photos, just general photos. This was Rick. He was out there helping us as well. This is just another perspective of the carnival at night. This is another view looking towards the east, or towards the west with the sunset in the background. It was just a beautiful night, clear weather, beautiful sunset. This was actually my wife. She was actually helping out parking. It was a family event. We also had horseback riding. Sherry was out there with her petting zoo. She had llamas. She had sheep. She had all sorts of animals. The kids loved it. There's another photo. We were picking up garbage. You can see all the garbage we were picking up. That's Sage. He was out there. This is just a random shot of some children. We had children rides as well, some games. So we had a little bit of everything. This is another perspective. You can see the parking lot was full, the way it was laid out, the carnival. Here's another shot with you can see the massive parking lot, the beautiful lot that we have. It's another perspective of it there. It was a beautiful time. It was a beautiful night. The weather was cold, but I think everybody seemed to enjoy it. Everybody came out. You look at our beautiful park that we have. We're so blessed to be able to have that park and utilize it to the way that we have been able to. Again, this was Saturday night, was packed. A lot of people came out. Again, more children rides, etc. Even kids were having fun. These are some of my volunteers. We were going around picking up garbage, doing different things. Again, Astor Knight with his funnel cake. He loved his funnel cake. He kept coming back. Ferris wheel. We had out there just some other different rides, etc. Bumper cars. So it was a full carnival, and we had all sorts of rides. We had more rides this year than last year, so it was definitely a bigger event. This is the picture at the end. We had over 500 cones. We had to pick up those cones on Tuesday. Those were the people that are out there picking it up. Rick Bell also had some people out there that he shared with us to go out there and pick up the cones. Really quick, I'd like to mention really quick some of our vendors that participated and our donors. from R&R Nursery, Florida Coast Equipment, Jason Caput, Frank Anzalone, MC Dirt Movers, Gentle Teeth, Camp Lingua, which is right next to the park, was a great participant, VM Erectors, Murphy Bed Services. We had food trucks out there, Bahama Mama, JC Bean, which was a coffee company, Slushy King, Moo Pops, and one of our special vendors that was out there was Cholio Group. I believe he's here. I may have messed that name up, but he's here if he wants to come up. Can you come up here? And he was in charge. He's actually in charge of the farmers market, and we used him to bring in vendors into this carnival. And he was able to bring in the vendors and manage the vendors on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And from that, vendors that we had out there, he wants to present us with a check. I believe he has a check for $7,137, so that's quite the amount of money. So we appreciate. It was actually a very big check as well, so I have that
Great,
here.
thank you.
So thank you very much, Antonia. We appreciate your participation and look forward to working with you next year. Thank you very much. It was a blessing having you, and I think you do a wonderful job with the farmers market as well, so thank you. I prefer the smaller one so we can deposit it. So maybe my board members want to come up here for a photo op real quick and take a picture, if you guys don't mind. Is that okay?
No, that's great. Fantastic.
If everybody wants to get up here real quick, and then we'll get to the good stuff of how much did this carnival make? Who wants to take
Maybe.
this picture?
Slide that podium out of the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll just be the backdrop.
Don't sit down. I got your chair out of the way. Don't sit down.
Oh, thanks.
Don't sit. Don't do that. Don't sit. Get in. You talk. Good.
Selfie too,
There
huh?
you go, nice.
Thank you, Anthony. We appreciate your participation. It wouldn't have been the festival that it wasn't if it wasn't for you. And he also provided the music, so thank you very much.
I just want to say something if I can.
Sure.
Obviously, the first time I've done this, right?
Yeah.
And just watching this man in action,
Yeah.
from setting up the cones, which is, I know, a logistical nightmare, to be able to put all that together, think it out, and you ask him, how'd you do that? And he just winging it, very, very humble. And then he's picking up garbage with his little clip-on. So he did it from top to bottom, and I loved working with the guy. He's excellent. So for what it's worth, there you go.
Great.
Great job. Thank you, George. Good.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up tonight because I know my team is over here waiting to see what the heck did we make. A few numbers real quick. With respect to the donors and the vendors and stuff like that, we took in over just about $35,000. We had about $19,000 worth of expense. We had actually pre-sales with Eventbrite. We had about $16,300. You take away what we take what we brought in, you minus what it cost us, we made $80,000.
Wow.
Profit. That's $80,000 profit from all the hard work of these people in the foundation. So again, thank you to all of them. We couldn't have done it without them. And Astor Knight, if he's watching out there, God bless you, Astor. We did it. We did it. So thank you very much. And thank you to Amusements of America as well, and the weatherman. On that note, I'm out. Thank you.
Awesome. That is fantastic, fantastic news, George. Thank you. Thank you, to the entire committee, the foundation, Astor, everybody, all. What a teamwork you all did to bring this off and pull it together, and the lasting effects of that $80,000 over the years for this generation, the next generation is awesome. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Can't thank you enough.
Yeah, we look forward to donating to the parks and improving the parks and equipments and recreation, et cetera. We look forward to doing it next year as well and making it even bigger and better. And maybe next year the town can help sponsor a stage and some music, because we'd love to grow and expand and do these things over again. Anyhow, so thank you very much again. It was a pleasure of mine. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity. Appreciate it. Have a great night.
Thank you all. Great, fantastic. All right, awesome. Okay, next item on our agenda, I think everybody's aware that over the last 2 to 3 years, we've had issue more and more with coyotes and their desire to make our homes their homes. And there's been more and more of them. It continues to grow, continues to be more and more of an issue. It's not really just an issue for Southwest Ranches. I think probably most people understand that. It's an issue for all of southern United States. It really is. You read articles, this is happening all the way in New Mexico, in Arizona, Texas, all along the south, and I guess maybe some of the north, I hadn't heard that. But, and I know that in Florida, it's happening East Coast, West Coast. It's a big deal, right? It's not just Southwest Ranches or even Southeast Florida. So we had a workshop on this, I'm going to say 3 or 4 months ago, and we had some great feedback at that point, and some recommendations out of that. But Mary Gay has done some research and done some work on this, and so we're going to have a presentation. She's going to just give us a kind of a talk on that, some thoughts that she has. And then when that's done, I want to open it up a little bit so we can get some feedback from the residents as a whole. And we're not going to make any decisions tonight. Let me be clear about that. What we're doing is kind of gathering facts and understanding and getting the word out on what's going on. And so we'll kind of have kind of a forum here where we have a presentation and some feedback. So Mary Gay, thank you for coming out, and if you will
Okay.
let us know your thoughts.
I don't have any degrees. Number one, I have experience. I've had 9 years of raising sheep here in South Florida in this environment. First, I was told that sheep don't do well in South Florida. They do. But they're hair sheep. They don't grow big wool packs. They're meat sheep. This is a business. They are not my little pet. But they are to be protected. I think there's a big misconception. If you look at this picture right now, this is a coyote that we have on exhibit up at Mystic Jungle, which is an educational facility. This animal was taken by some people when its eyes were closed. It never saw its mother. It never saw the wild. But it is instinct. He is terrified of people. We cannot exhibit him. We can show him to an individual carefully. He's in a very large enclosure. When we have tours, we have to take him and put him away in the barn out of everybody's sight because he goes absolutely ballistic. He wants to get away. If you go boo to him, even though he knows people, he doesn't know anybody but people. He runs. He's terrified. That's the nature of the coyote. Now let's move on to what we have here. These weigh a little bit more than a fox. They're getting bigger. They're much bigger. They're hybrids. They have bred with dogs. They call them coy dogs. And they are a cross between the dog and the coyote. I'm going to show you some pictures of them. I'm also going to show you what they've done to the livestock. Overall, I have lost in the last 3 years, this is one of the sheep. Understand that what they do is they run them and they bring them down and then they take out all the babies. They're easy prey. They also do not hunt for one animal. They will take out as many as 15. I went around and picked up 15 babies one night that they had gone in and killed. They ate one. Later on, they were killing, and they usually will eat either the back end or the organs of the animal, and then they leave. And they may come back the next night or not. It doesn't matter. I have lost 4 full herds, including 18, 20 babies. These burrows are over here on the 30 acres. I want you to look at them. This is the burrow they killed, and they broke her jaw. And they ate about 200 pounds of the 500 pounds she was. This is a coyote. This coyote weighed almost 80 pounds. And I'm going to show you its head. These are not your little coyote. These are coy dogs. We have 4 packs running in Southwest ranches right now. I have videoed on my 30 acres over here at Griffin, on the back 5, which the county won't let me clear off the exotics. If I could clear them off, I could get them. But it's very dense, it's 5 acres, and they call it wetlands. I'm not going to tell you it's not wet. When it floods, it gets wet. But there's 12 of them back there. We got them videoed. And that's what brought down that burrow. They're now hunting in full packs. They're going out there. If they can't bring them down with 2, they'll bring them down with 12. And they are going to get a child. This is my biggest concern. They are getting hungrier and hungrier. Have you noticed the ducks are gone? All those Muscovies we had, even, which is kind of funny, they even have gotten the geese,
Egyptian ducks?
pardon?
Egyptian ducks?
Yeah. Yeah, they will get anything. And this pack of mine, which is sitting on the 30, backs up to Cooper City's development. And they have cleaned house over there. They will get dogs, cats, ducks. They don't care. No preference. They went down East Palomino and they hit Marvin Holt's place. And he's got several burrows, and I guess they were able to move them along. They went over to Luray Road. I have a herd there, and I have built a 12-foot fence. It's hot wired. The wire goes 6 feet out underground, and the pack has circled that. You can see tracks all the way around, and we have 7 horses there. They chased the horses one night. The guy sat out there with a gun, and he couldn't even get them. And that was a full pack. There was 12 of them. And they worked overtime trying to get into that herd of sheep. I have babies, and I have 9 females in there. The point is this. You can't say a free-for-all and everybody grabs a gun and goes out there and shoots them. Because number one, they're going to shoot somebody else's dog, or they're going to shoot one another, or they're going to shoot a neighbor. And I actually had an FBI agent who said he would hunt him on off time, and he is a hunter also, but he has all the license and credentials to carry a firearm with respect. But he made a phone call while we were looking at the property, and he called several chiefs of police in Broward. He cannot jeopardize himself by doing it. I also had police officers that were hunters that would do it. They can't do it either. They jeopardize their job. So it kind of is kicked into your ballpark. From what I can gather from the information I've gotten, there is no limit on them. There's no protection on them. We can kill them. The problem is you can't you can't discharge a firearm. So we need to get the state to allow us to have licensed, qualified hunters here. I don't care if they're Army, if they're military, it doesn't matter. But they need to be registered with the town and given permission, just like they did with the boa constrictors out there. My son has a license to hunt them, and you have to be qualified to do it. If we do that, we can clean this town up and get rid of them. They're breeding. I have 2 dens on that property. We've already found the dens. So you're going to have 12 more, 6 more. They're just like dogs. They breed every 6 months. And they'll grow up pups. You're going to have 6, 8 pups. They're going to feed them. They're ready to hunt. By the time they're 6 months, they learn. By the time they're a year, their hunting is full-grown, pack. And as the pack gets bigger, the stock gets bigger. I have a woman that is on East Palomino. I've been over there 3 or 4 times just looking. She has miniature ponies, miniature horses. They're fair game for these animals. They're going to bring them down. They can't even protect themselves. Anybody who has a dog, you're walking on the street, they get hungry enough, that dog is fair game. They will snatch that dog right away from you. It's in New Jersey, New York. It's not just here. It's everywhere. And in New York, in Upper New York, they had a kid attacked. And so all of a sudden, everybody became aware of these coyotes, coy dogs, and they thought they only had 1 pack. They found out they had 4 in this small town. And so they had open warfare on them to get rid of them. They are not the original breed. They are a hybrid. And when they become a hybrid, they're bigger, their game is bigger. The coyote ate rabbits and raccoons and possums and small game. He might come in and take a baby sheep, but he's not going to take down a 150-pound ram. I have them, they ate all my rams. I had what they called exotic black belly rams originally on that 30 acres. They live in the wilderness, and they ate every last one of them. So it's in your ballpark. I have a man that bought 2 Great Pyrenees. I bought one. I have one. She's a year old. She's brilliant. But I can't put her out there to protect the herd because she will kill anything that gets on that property. And that's what is going on up there in Seabreak. There are coyotes, and they patrol. These 2 dogs patrol 500 acres. And they will kill anything that gets on that 500 acres that doesn't belong there. But they don't have neighbors. Here, we have neighbors. I can't put a dog like that out. What if a kid climbed over? The dog doesn't recognize that kid. He's as fair game as anything else.
Right.
So the only thing I could do was put 2 burros out there to protect my herd. They are too much, too big, too powerful, even for the burros, unless I put 10 out there to defend the herd. That's crazy. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
So
Great.
I'm kicking this into your ballpark. This town is in trouble. We are going to lose a kid. I'm just telling you, they're getting hungry because they're going after bigger game. And I don't want to see a kid hurt. I don't want to see one maimed. So
Great. Thank you,
would
Mary
you
Gay.
have to?
Thank you, Mary Gay. Appreciate it. I want to open it up just in case there's some other comments or other folks that want to say.
Tell them how it got there. It wasn't even hers.
Lil, it's good to see you here. Do you feel like you need to take some notes or take some minutes while you're here?
No, I've done enough of that, thank you. So I'm Lil Sayer, 5101 Southwest 145th Avenue. I wasn't aware that this problem was so severe until a couple of weeks ago when we went out to feed our horses and discovered a lamb in my back pasture who had his whole chest eaten out. I didn't know where it had come from. I didn't know who had lambs. I found out my neighbor 2 doors down did raise lambs. I talked to him. He said he had lost 2 lambs. So this animal evidently took this lamb, jumped over his fence, jumped over my 4-foot fence with the lamb, and decided it wanted to eat it in peace in my pasture. And I suspect that when we went out, when it was just getting light to feed our horses, he was probably scared away, which is why he left the rest of the lamb there. So then doing some research, I find out that, this is what's happening in the town, and I understand it's throughout the whole town, Rolling Oaks, out in country estates. I know people here that have had problems and have seen them. And I think, as Gay says, this is not the situation we had before with regular coyotes. These are larger and they're evidently more aggressive. I happen to have a miniature horse on my property. I'm scared to death that something is going to happen to it. My neighbor told me that the other morning it was not quite light yet and all the horses were just galloping around like crazy. I suspect maybe we had a predator there at the time. And I do feel, even the experts, I know everyone says, oh, well, if you kill them, they're only going to come back. Well, maybe we'll at least have a respite for a while. I think, and it's just like nature, there's always has to be a balance of nature. And one of my magazines, I read a lot of nature magazines, they were talking about in Yellowstone, when they eliminated the wolves in Yellowstone, the coyotes became the apex predator, and all the smaller animals just disappeared. They were all decimated. When they reintroduced the wolves, the coyote population was reduced by 50%, and then those animals were able to come back. So right now, it looks to me like the balance of nature in this town has been upset. And I really don't think we need to surrender the town to the coyotes. I think we need to actually take some action.
Great. Thank you, Lil. Any other comments on this topic? All right.
There's only one other thing I'd like to say.
Come on up.
Do you have somebody going to talk?
No, if you, I'm sorry, if you could please speak in the mic is all I'm saying. Sorry.
If anybody goes on Facebook, you've seen the pictures of people that they've been taking pictures of the coyotes in the park during the daytime. This is what's getting so dangerous, because it's the park and these coyotes are walking in groups of 4. That's considered a pack. And there's more of them in there because I know there's at least 15 in Rolling Oaks that are a pack. The other thing is, a man was riding along in his car, and the coy dog, and I'll call them coy dogs, coyote maybe so everybody understands, but he was walking during the day, 1 o'clock, whatever, right alongside of the car, and the guy is filming him, and he said, people, this is not a dog, this is not a German Shepherd, this is a coyote. Keep in mind, they're predators. This is like having a lion out there, and we're taking pictures of them and poo-pooing it away like it's, it's, look, see, there they are, they're normal. No, they're not. They're looking for food, and we're going to be their food. So it's everywhere, and I just returned 2 females that were attacked a year ago, in February, out in your area. They're on 345. And I brought them to my house. The one died. She was shredded. The other one they killed. There were 3. And the other one was crazy. I mean, she just was ricochet rabbit. So I put her in the barn. I got a new female, put her with it. The woman bought it. I put her with her to calm her down. She stayed there 8 months. She took her back in December. Put her out there. The one female just had 2 babies. They were terrified because they know the coyotes are there. They've already seen their tracks. So Josh went over and he rounded up the 3 of them and brought them to his barn to let those babies grow, and he couldn't leave one there. So he had to bring all of them to his place and put them in the barn and feed them. This is not the way it should be out here.
Got it.
So please, try to fix it.
Great. Thank you. Hey, Walt.
Good evening. Wasn't planning on talking on this, but I'm going to any rate. I've lost 2 goats to coyotes almost 2 years ago. The sheep that Mary Gay referred to belong to our neighbors. Those coyotes came back twice to get what was left. We had neighbors up the street from us, go back 3 years ago, that on video at 1 o'clock in the afternoon had 2 coyotes chase her chickens and geese until they killed all 13 of them. They didn't eat a single one. It was a game. So people say, I've seen it in the emails, well, they were here first. Well, they weren't here first. They didn't start in South Florida. I'm a hunter. I hunt up in Georgia. I take my deer hunting very seriously, but I'll ruin a deer hunt to take out a coyote. With that being said, they're tough critters to get, and you better be a long way away when you see them, and you better be a good shot because they don't go easy. So in Georgia, they trap them. They use other methods. When my goats were taken out, I called Fish and Game, showed them the pictures, and they go, yep, that's coyotes. I said, what can I do? They said, protect your livestock any way you can. I asked him if we could use a couple of methods they use in Georgia. He said, yep, you sure can. Just make sure that when they get caught, that you euthanize them as quickly and as humanely as possible. Last but not least, we're an agricultural community, and we have our animals. We have our families. And for people that raise these animals, they're not just pets. They're not just money. They are part of the family. And when anybody comes and hurts them, it's like taking your child. It's like taking a piece of you. And there's nothing you can do about it. So when I hear people say, oh, they were here first, we need to let them be. Well, that's like inviting people to come and take everything you got because you got it and they want it. Something needs to be done to control it. I don't know exactly how we could handle this, but you got my support. Thank you.
Thank you, Walt. All right. Once again, Mary Gay, thank you for bringing this up. We have a lot to think about, and I know we'll all be talking to Andy, kind of give him our thoughts on kind of where we need to go from here, and so we appreciate that. All right, the next item on our agenda is public comment, but before we go there, I did want to take a moment to recognize someone who passed away since the last time we met as a council. And it's somebody that I think a lot of folks here know, and that's Susan Wynn. And she passed away in December. And so I just wanted to have a moment of silence for Susan, if you could please join me.
First I've heard.
Great, thank you very much. All right, public comment. Do we have any?
Mayor, we have one group speaker tonight, which is Sikh Society.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Zoom it in. Zoom in. Hello, Town Council and residents of the town of Southwest Ranches. My name is Parneet Singh. The Sikh Youth Association will be holding its 5th annual Unity in Diversity 5K run/walk on April 1st, 2023 at the Rolling Oaks Park in Southwest Ranches. The goal of this event is to foster an understanding of people from all walks of life. The proceeds from this 5K race will go to benefit the town of Southwest Ranches College Scholarship Fund. We are excited to say that this is the first year that we are joining hands with other religious organizations, namely Heartway Church and Mission Vita Church. They are planning on helping us plan this event. They are enthusiastic about growing the 5K and reaching more people with our message of unity in diversity. We are just over 2 months away from race day, and our advertising campaign and fundraising has been in full swing. There is an early bird special going on right now until January 31st, so we encourage everyone to register and let their friends, families, and co-workers know. The support of the town members and council has been amazing the last couple years, and we hope to have your support this year as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it. This is a great event that we've had for the last quite a few years. How many years? 5 years.
5 years.
5 years. Yeah, it's awesome. It's a great cause, but it's also just another way that we as a community can all come together and show our unity. So thank you for all the work that I know you all do to pull this off, and it's exciting to see some other houses of worship partner with you. So that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. No further public comment? Okay. Oh, we do. Okay. Yeah.
Good evening.
Hey, Rose.
ASC, Rose Williams, 6011 Hollow Trail, Southwest Ranches. I guess I'm sitting here and I see all the things I like. I like carnivals because I like a good party, and I like running. So I've had that in the past before. But it seems that I come here, sometimes I feel bad in a way that I shouldn't. I've been living in Southwest Ranches for 29 years, and I like a good party, okay? And I don't have them often. I have them for celebration, and David will know, for my children, my family. And every year I have a nice Christmas party, and actually I donate some of whatever, I have a charity funds I get to scholarships in Broward County schools. I give 4 of them, and I do international missions, and I support kids who don't have the means to. And this year I found out that we all need a permit to have a party now. I never had a permit before, and I came to the council and I had to. Anyway, that is not the problem. I would pay for a permit because I like my Christmas parties. My problem is the issuing of the permit, and Attorney Pulaski will probably let you know, and I'm an attorney, David's an attorney, to say when you have a permit issued to your residents, I think they should all have the same boilerplate language. Would we agree with that, Mr. David? We all should have the same language in all permits, right? You don't give one permit to one resident and it says one thing and the other you say another thing. And that's my issue tonight. I don't mind having a permit, but I was given a permit and I was told that my guests should only be my family and my friends. And I really have a problem with that as an attorney. You can't tell me who to bring on my property, and it has to be only my friends and family, okay? I think that's a problem with that. So I think the council should at least have your director of community relations, whatever you call him, let him know that when he issues a permit, it should have the same language for every neighbor. Because I was given a copy of another neighbor's permit, and it did not have that in their permit. So mine happened to have that. So it behooves you to know that when we issue permits, and being the attorney I am, I looked at your statute, I looked at your definition, and what he had in my permit was not there. So I need you to address that with your community director relation and have him make sure that your 0.3-0.80, I believe it is followed strictly to the law. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Rose. Rose, can you hold on just a second? Are we aware, this is the first I've heard of this. Are we aware that there's more than one type of wording out there?
I have, with all due respect, I have no idea what the circumstances were for
Okay.
this permit.
Okay, so we have some
as compared to another one.
Okay.
We'll be very happy to review it and report back to the committee.
Okay, so I don't know how you do it in the council meeting. I know bailiffs usually give the judges stuff, and if you would like, I made copies of each
I would love to
permit,
get a copy of it.
and
Yeah.
each person
Yes.
can have a copy.
Yeah.
It goes down here. It's the same thing, he just acts as the clerk. It's interesting.
All right?
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. All right. Any other public comment? All right, seeing none, public comment is closed. Any board reports this evening?
George Morris, Drainage Board, we haven't met yet. We're going to meet next week. But I did want to say, with regards to the Astronaut Foundation, what I neglected to mention is that this is the first meeting since we had the car show last year. The car show, as a matter of fact, netted about $30,000.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
we've done pretty well this year
Yeah.
fundraising, and we also had a bingo event, and that probably netted about $3,000 plus or minus. But we're also looking forward to having more bingo this year, a car show and a carnival. So we're rocking. Thank you.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, George. Any other board reports? Seeing none. Council member comments.
Yeah, I'll go.
Great. Thanks, Gary.
I'll start us off. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Just want to make a few announcements out, and then the other stuff will come later. We're going to be having at a future meeting, we're going to have as a discussion item on the possible fill ordinance. We're going to be waiting for the Drainage Committee to come back with their recommendations, and then we'll schedule that in a meeting as a discussion as opposed to a workshop. So everybody will have a chance to chime in, give us their thoughts, and go forward from that. So that'll happen after the drainage meeting. It may be the second one in February or the first one in March, or, well, whatever Andy and I can put together. So I just want to mention that. On the 7th of February, Broward County Property Appraiser is going to be here from 10 to 12. In February, we have 2 council meetings. So
Man.
yeah, so the agenda will be a little lighter. Probably not, but it'll be on the 9th and the 23rd. Something real interesting coming back and exciting. The Fun Horse Show is scheduled for the 11th of February at the Equestrian Park at 10 a.m. That's I've been to every one of them, and it's always fun to watch the little tykes on the horses and the kids perform on their horses. So I encourage everybody to come out and take a look at that. Then we have Town Hall will be closed on the 20th. That's President's Day of February. The Flowmobile will be here is back in operation and on this coast now, and is scheduled to be here on the 22nd of February from 10 to 2, and see Deborah for an appointment for that. We have the barn dance coming up for the Education Advisory Board. It's on March 11th. It's $50 a person. It's sponsored by Outback and a few other. Outback's providing the main course. I don't remember what the other ones are. And then you can buy a table for $375 for 8 people. So that'll be coming up. Also, too, I've been told by the Ed Advisory Board that the winter migration of pink flamingos is coming. So, look forward. We're going to look forward to that. As you know, there's been a lot of activity at the very front of Rolling Oaks, 178th, in the Mission Vita property with soccer fields. There's been a lot going on with that. I'm hoping to bring a soccer agreement that Keith and I have been working on with the church and with the league sometime in the very near future. We're trying to iron out the details, and it looks very positive at this point. So I'm just giving you the FYI. It'll be coming before the council for our consideration before it goes into play. And that's all I have for right now, Mayor.
Great, good. Thank you, Gary, appreciate it. Who'd like to go next? Jim?
Yeah, Steve, I'll go next. I only have a few things to talk about, shouldn't take but about 45, 46 minutes. I'll keep it under 50, but it is nice to be back and to be back in chambers and having, this year start off 2023. 2022 was a great year. I'd like to read just a couple of the things that the town did accomplish in 2022. We lowered the millage rate for taxes, ended up with a balanced budget. We ended up with a new contractor for waste pickup, which I thought was great. We're implementing the tag readers around town, which is, not costing the taxpayers anything, and that'll be a great help to help stop the crime and stuff coming in. The charter review, there were 3 amendments. All of those passed overwhelmingly. They developed some fees for developers coming in that'll help the town, and it's not going to cost anything ad valorem impact. The parks raised their fees for people coming in to use our parks to help keep the parks good. Permitting for fill was streamlined, and our people here at Town Hall were able to receive approximately $1.8 million in grants from the state and federal government to do all the projects that we do around here, and most of that was without matching funds. So I was really pleased that we had a great year for 2022. The 911 center that the mayor and I attended up in Broward County with the Broward Sheriff's Office was a great eye-opener for me. I also had the opportunity to meet the lady that runs the Coral Park facility. It's a non-regional facility. In other words, it's actually run by the city itself. And I talked to her yesterday, and I got a real good education on what's going on. It's a very complicated system, and I'm studying more about it. So I'd like to bring, maybe in the future, not next month or the month after, but I'd like to bring her in or some and talk about that 911. It's very important for people to understand just how that works here for us. I'm pleased to sit on the Broward League of Cities Board of Directors. The Broward League of Cities represents all 33 cities and towns in Broward County, and they fight very hard to get what's necessary from the state and local, state and federal governments for Broward County. They're fighting every day to bring things to Broward County that will help all the cities. So I'm pleased to sit on that. I will be going to Tallahassee in March. It's Broward's Day. You go up and you meet the legislatures and go up and lobby against the issues. We have issues here from the town that we'll be speaking about. 3 of us will be going up in March. 2 of our council members will be going in February to lay the groundwork. So hopefully some of the issues that we've been talking about, the fireworks bills and so forth, we can talk to the legislators and maybe get some headway on that. I also sit on the Broward Water Board Advisory Committee, and believe it or not, their main issue in Broward County is to get every single home in Broward County in the next 10 years on sewer. Now, I know that's difficult to understand, and it probably won't affect us for a while, but I do see it coming, and I do see down the road, maybe not in my lifetime, but we are going to end up here in Southwest Ranches, either going to Sunrise or to someplace and ask for sewer, because they are pushing this and pushing it hard. And they're also pushing real hard on the infringement of the saltwater intrusion into the wells. They're working with the Corps of Engineers. I don't think people realize just how bad that is. It's coming, and it's coming quickly. They predict in the next 10 to 15 years that there will be oceanfront property maybe as far out as the turnpike. I know it sounds crazy, but there's no way to keep that sea out that doesn't cost billions and billions of dollars, and that they don't have the funding to do it. So, this is something that we're looking at, and, I'm getting a real education working with these different people around the town. Get this to flip over. I want to say thank you to all of our volunteer board members. They give their time, their dedication, they come in, they listen, they make recommendations to the board, they do the groundwork so that we as the council can make decisions based on, their recommendations and what they've actually worked on. They may work on something for months and they present it to us. I want a special thank you to the Astronaut Board, to all the members there on that board for a wonderful, wonderful carnival. The grandkids came down from Georgia and had a wonderful time. I was fortunate to be there every night except Monday, and I had a great time. And whoever ordered the weather, if it was you, Sage, or you, Barb, or whoever made that phone call for the weather, just absolutely a great, great time. Let me talk about the Traffic and Safety Committee. The traffic calming, we have 2 trailers that the town has purchased. You've probably seen them. If not, give me a call and we'll get them into your neighborhood. They tell you that you're speeding. They start flashing red and blue, green lights and all this for whatever speed limit that they set it at. They can set it for 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. It flashes 10, 15. But whatever the speed limit is in your area, they can set it to let the people know that are coming in that they're violating the speed limit. The more we can place these around town, the more our residents will realize that, the speed limit is lower. We have an officer here in town, Officer Laguna. She has written 160 violations this month alone. She has that new handheld laser gun, and she loves it. She gets a grin on her face when she uses it. There's another officer that's pushing her, and he may have close to 160 also. I don't know, can't tell if these are residents from town or if these are pass-through. I would probably be guessing it's probably 50-50. So if you're one of the unfortunate that has gotten a ticket, please slow down. And, the revenue from that, we get part of that, but the state and the county gets most of it. And lastly, I know I'm getting close to the 45-minute mark, the District 3 Homeowners Civic Association has their meeting Monday night, the 30th. You're invited. If you'd like to get on the email list to attend the Zoom, it's a Zoom meeting, give me a call, send me an email, and I'll get you on that list. We are working hard to incorporate. We're going to try and get papers done up to Tallahassee soon, and we already have 4 officers, a president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer, so we're on our way. So the Civic Association will be one of the others, Sunshine Ranches, Rolling Oaks, and Country Estates. So we'll be joining those. So with that, I'd like to say thank you for coming, and that's it, Mayor. 44 minutes, not
Yeah,
bad.
great job, man. You really cut it back. Thanks. No, thanks, Jim. Yeah, David?
All right. Welcome. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. David Kaczynski, District 4. First of all, talk about the Rural Arts Advisory Board. The Founders Park wall is in process of getting additional panels painted. Laura Warren has done a wonderful, wonderful job at producing the panels. 9 panels were completed last year, and Sunshine Ranches Homeowner Association actually contributed the money for Laura to complete the project. Took a look at the artwork, and I was knocked out at how beautiful her artwork is. So if anybody is wondering where this park is, unfamiliar with it, if you head east here on Griffin, just before you get to the CVS, look to the right, you'll see big concrete wall, and it's amazing. It's beautiful what Laura has done. Next, I have asked the Rural Arts Advisory Board to to create something that the farmer's market could identify the vendors from Southwest Ranches. So if you're walking around and you're looking at the various vendors, there'll be something to distinguish a resident who actually has a booth at the farmer's market. So, pat our neighbors on the back, get to meet them, hang out, talk a little bit. Noticed something that's been in the news yesterday and a little bit between Broward County Commission and the sheriff regarding the 911 service. I just want to express a concern that I hope whatever is done with those parties, that our residents are fully protected with the 911 services. I just happened to catch another article today that came out. Actually, it was yesterday's Sun Sentinel. Let's see. And then now, last meeting, I brought up an issue that I was going to start talking about, the various citations and police activity in the town in a general sense, and just highlight some bigger issues. During the month of December, Davie Police issued 152 citations in the town of Southwest Ranches. Of those, I'll go in, the least amount of tickets were District 2, there were 6. Then District 1, 27. And District 3, 32. And then District 4 was a whopping 86. Now, I could see a lot of these citations are on Griffin Road, so it's not basically all on the side roads, and I understand people speeding on Griffin Road. But here we had 152 citations, and they're everything from expired tag to speeding, improper backing, altered exhaust systems. They're out there enforcing the law, so I really want to praise Davie Police for their very aggressive efforts. Further, during the month of December and into the beginning of January, Davie Police responded to 14 calls for loud music and/or parties. And this was the leading number of calls during that period. So if the music's too loud, call Davie Police. They'll come out and issue a report, do what's necessary, and possibly a code issue. That wraps me up.
Great. Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. I definitely want to extend major congratulations to the Astronaut Foundation for the work you guys did. I was only able to get there for a little bit of time because I had family in, was sick, but even when the park, when it opened up, people were flooding in. Lots of little kids. I mean, it was great. I was there 5 o'clock the first day, and I went past it a couple of times, and I didn't think we had enough parking, given the number of people in there. So congratulations, and $80,000. You guys set a milestone there that you're going to have to try to beat next year.
Wow.
Holy cow. Wow. That's amazing. George, when you were walking around, were you asking people where they were from, or mostly residents, or was it we brought them in from everywhere?
George, why don't you come up to the to the mic?
Yeah, I actually was curious myself. There was people from everywhere, but there was a lot of people from Cooper City, Davie, Weston, and Southwest Ranches as well. It was basically local communities, and there were some people from further away. I don't know how they got there or whatever, but maybe social media, but there were people there from further places. It was
Excellent.
interesting.
Thank you. Thank you. My brand new grandbaby is only 2 months old, but I have a feeling in 3 or 4 years he'll be a fixture there, since he's right 10 minutes away in Cooper City. So great job, guys. I was just amazed with the number. Thank you. Let me move on to another topic that I've been writing columns about, and I've done a little work to get some things coordinated in the next 2 months. You've heard me talk about recycling. I know there's a lot of rumors that our recycling just goes to the dump. You know, recycling is a thing of the past. None of that is true. If you've ever noticed the building on 27 when you go southbound, just past Pines Boulevard is Pembroke Road, all you see going up and down that road are garbage trucks. There's nothing else back there. There's a recycling facility that Waste Management owns that's back there that processes 100 tons of I'll call it prospective recycling every day. Garbage in and recyclable, reusable products on the way out. We've set up 2 dates where it's an hour-long tour of the facility. There's details in the upcoming column in the town newsletter that I wrote. But just to if you're here and you want to jot down the dates, both are at 10 a.m. One is on Saturday, February the 18th, and the other is on Thursday, March the 9th. And it's open to residents that are 14 and above, and give me a call or send me an email if you're interested. I found it fascinating because in the plant itself, there's probably only 10 or 12 employees. And we're talking about a facility that's probably 5 or 6 times the size of this building. And, they're mostly at the front end for quality control because you'd be shocked at what people put in recycling. We've heard beds, we heard a grenade. There's all kinds of things that there are people up front just pulling out. But then from that point on, the majority of the process is automated, and it's fascinating. And the reason I say proposed is because, believe it or not, they only capture about 20 to 30 tons of recycling that's usable on a daily basis. Now, the reason that they don't capture 100% of what comes in is what they call contamination. Cardboard right now is one of the hottest commodities after aluminum and steel. And the reason is Amazon and all the other companies, that during the pandemic started shipping. The problem is with a pizza box, once you've got olive oil in there or, cheese or anything like that, the cardboard's unusable. They call that contaminated because they have to send the highest quality out to their customers that they sell the recycled materials to. So it was very interesting going through the process and seeing, those public bags that Publix bags, Walmart bags, the little thin bags you get at Home Depot, they're the worst thing for the recycling facility because they really gum up the works. They have to shut down their machines every couple of hours to pull all that stuff out because there's no automated way to get that out. They have a method that attacks it, but it's not 100%. So you can see, I definitely enjoyed it. I'll be out there for these 2 tours as well. So if you're interested in attending, it's an hour, 14 and above. You'll be walking around in a factory, so appropriate shoes, climbing stairs. If you can't climb stairs, it wouldn't work for you. But I'd encourage you to come out. It's really cool. I wish Sally Broken were here tonight. She's one of our town's most avid recyclers. I know she's coming, but she could talk this up as well and how important it is, particularly to the environment. Moving on next, we have residents, and there's actually 4 of us in the room right now that are all trained CERT volunteers. I see Dina and Walt in the back. They were trained by Davey several years ago. The mayor's gone through the process. I went through it last summer. CERT is the Community Emergency Response Team. And what that is when something like Hurricane Ian comes through, there aren't enough cops to get out there and help people. They're busy rescuing people, same thing with the fire department. So that's where the CERT teams come in. The basic responsibility of CERT is to support the governmental agencies that are coming in to do their jobs. And it's a very interesting process. It's a very interesting, the training. They teach you first aid because you never know when you come upon somebody who's, a victim of a hurricane that has a serious injury. So they teach a lot of basic first aid. They teach you how the whole incident response process works. And I found it to be very beneficial. And here's the problem. If we do have a catastrophe, Southwest Ranches generally only has 3 police on. And our fire department, between Davey and our volunteers, is what, Chief, about 6 people on? Between the 2 the 2 fire departments when they're working, 7 people? Between the 2. So, is it every person for themselves when we have those kinds of storms? No, that's when CERT jumps in and begins to help out and starts to do damage assessments and all of that. Now, when I went through the process last year, I thought, this would be great to have in our town. And, we don't have the resources, we don't have the capacity to do the training, et cetera. So Andy and I met with George McCord last week. George is the emergency manager for Davie. And our thinking is that we can leverage them for training. We can also leverage them for potentially refresher training if you've already been through it and you'd like to, re-engage. I've talked to Dina about that, and also Deborah Goff-Rose is trained as well. So let's get our own people up to speed. But as well, they're starting another class. And again, it's in my column in the town newsletter, but it's coming up next week. And you need to register on the Davie website. You go out to the Davie PD website and you burrow your way into their website and you'll find their CERT team and the application you have to fill out. Now, what we were discussing with George is, could we set up kind of, I don't want to call it a sister organization, but a peer organization of Southwest Ranches having its own CERT team. We would still meet with them quarterly. They would still provide the training to our team members. They'd provide all the backpacks, the shirts, everything, because George gets all the materials through grants. So, and since Davie is our police department and fire department, we're all in this together. So if you're interested, again, look at my column or give me a call, and I'd love to talk to you more about it. I'm trying to round up everybody who was previously in CERT so we can jumpstart this and really pick up some steam in Southwest Ranches. They do a lot of fun things too. It depends. I'm a real geek, so this is fun to me. Broward County has all kinds of training, active shooter drills down at the airport. They have drills when, there's an incident on an aircraft. They use the CERT volunteers as, victims if it's an active shooter drill. They use us as, help to execute these various things. They also have, I could go through it all night. It's cool. To me. But also where the CERT volunteers get involved is Davie has got their annual expo coming up in a couple of weeks. If you've ever been up there, they do demonstrations up at their police department headquarters up on 84 in Flamingo, 84 in Pine Island, Andy? I think, one of those. Yep. If you go out to their website, they're advertising it now. But their CERT volunteers help out. They help with the parking. Our CERT volunteers could help out, obviously, with the carnival and things like that. We do a lot in this town, and we're always relying on volunteers while the CERT team members can jump in and get involved and, perhaps lead as well, since they do it over and over again. So if you're interested, give me a call or go sign up online. As I said, it starts next week, and I've written about it, so there's some information in my column. Another item you've heard me talk about since my last campaign, because again, the beauty of running for office is you get to hear everything people think about the town, good, bad, ugly, and you get a lot of phenomenal suggestions about, how people feel and what they think should be done. There is a common thread in our town that we don't have enough police protection. We do the best we can with the funds we have, and I don't I've asked Andy to get involved and help look at different ways that we can fund additional police or get more presence out there. One of the ideas we talked about was putting a community-oriented police group together like we've had in the past, Citizens Patrol. That kind of faded out about 10 years ago or so in town here, maybe even a little longer ago than that. And Davie provided us the documentation to start one up. They have policies. They've done it in the past as well, but they currently don't have it. Another idea was to reach out to our federal representatives, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and see if there's federal money available for us. And I know that one of our town staff members is looking at options there as well to get, even if it's enough money for the next 3 or 4 years to add additional police, that everything works and everything helps. Then the last thing, and Louis Gregory came back to me. Louis is retired law enforcement, and he said, to me, why don't you start a police reserve in Southwest Ranches? I said, well, I've heard of that, but I don't know much of the details. So he kind of explained it to me. And one of the things about being both in law enforcement and in the fire department is those are very team-oriented jobs. You don't go to those jobs and go to work on your own. If you're a fireman, you're part of the group that you're working with. You're part of the battalion. You're part of the larger group of firefighters that you work with on a regular basis. And the same thing works with the police. And what he said is when policemen retire, and Tom, tell me if this is true, a lot of them want to be back in the middle of things. After they're gone for a little while, they're missing their friends, they're missing the camaraderie, and that's where the police reserve units come in. They're not paid the same as a police officer, they're not paid, they don't have the benefits and all, but they can come work a shift, and they're scheduled. This isn't something where you just show up, because we need to have equipment, we need to have vehicles, etc. But it may be a low-cost way, and from what Andy's mentioned, I haven't seen it yet, but Davey's going to provide us with how they operate their program over there, and we'll see what we can do about integrating I don't know whether it's the Davey or if it becomes the Southwest Ranches Reserve Unit, but it may be another way to add some more presence on our streets on a daily basis. So we're trying to get more out there. I mean, Jim did a great job on traffic. Well, now, maybe patrols, more patrols or we can work out through this type of a process. All right, about 2 weeks ago, we had a kind of a special meeting or a workshop on ideas to keep us rural. And, throwing out that kind of a concept in our town, I figured hundreds of people would show up. And others were saying to me, let's hope somebody shows up. We had a good turnout. We had a number of people that came very concerned about keeping their lifestyle, preserving our lifestyle, keeping things the way they are. That's the bottom line. They like having animals, they like our open spaces, and they had some good ideas. I'm not prepared to go through them tonight. We as a council will start addressing what I brought up that night is maybe we'll pick the top 5 that the council agrees upon to take a look at and look at ways to implement. Because it's not just a catchphrase, guys. We all ran on the concept of keeping us rural. When you talk to people, everybody's here for the lifestyle. We've actually done a number of things over the last 5 years or so to keep us rural. What can we continue to do to preserve this and protect this for our family and our families and those who come after us? So I want to thank everybody who came out and also the council for putting their time into it. Jim had mentioned our advisory boards. That's roughly 40 people that sit on our advisory boards across the different topics. And I wanted to say thank you as well. I sat on them from around the year 2010 until I got elected. And first off, you learn a heck of a lot about whatever board you join. And we rely on those folks, and we really have a lot of respect for them because they bring us ideas. They vet ideas that we may have. They vet ideas that they bring to the table. And generally, the council attends all of the advisory board meetings. And what we're hearing is, genuine resident ideas and concerns and ways to get things done around town and what needs to be changed. I mean, we hear it all the time on the comp plan board. We hear it on the drainage committee as well, and as well on many of the other boards. So they're very important to our process, our judicial process, our legislative process. And again, I want to thank all the folks because they meet about 10 times a year, and the meetings, you've got to show up prepared or you can't participate. The comp plan board reads through literally dozens of pages of documents for every meeting, sometimes 100-page documents. So it requires commitment. And again, I want to say thank you. All right. I think that's all I have. I think I hit my 45-minute limit as well, Mayor. So thank you for the time.
Mayor, if I could just real quick, if I could take another 10 seconds.
Your 45 minutes is up, Jim.
No, I got 44.
Oh, that's right. You got one more minute. Go for it.
I had a minute.
Go for it, buddy.
No, I forgot to turn the page over. I had one item on the back.
Go for it.
The residents on 62nd Street west of 166th Avenue recently got together and paid to have their street paved. They're looking for information from the town on how to turn that over to the town in the future. So I just wanted the board to be aware of that it would be coming up in the future.
Okay, okay, great. And I'm thrilled to hear that they did that, because I know that road needed it, and they've been trying to get the group together for a while. So, yeah, good job rounding that up, and glad to hear that's moving forward. All right, this is what happens when we don't meet for a month or so. We all come with these long lists, so I appreciate everybody hanging out this long and hearing what we have to say. I would like to tell you that I just have one or two, and I'll be really quick, but I have my list as well, so sorry about that.
I was 5 minutes.
You were, Gary. You set the pace, but none of us
One and done.
none of us could keep up with it. But yeah, good job. All right. The first thing I would like to do is give some congratulations to Deborah, getting her CMC, Certified Municipal Clerk. Awesome job. Awesome job. You know, we have a great professional staff here, and I'm thrilled that not only are they professionals at what they do, but they're working hard to improve and get better and to serve our community better. And that's awesome. That's awesome. That shows a good, live, growing organization of professionals. So great job, Deborah. Thank you. All right. Another topic I wanted to touch on. You know, we went through the transition to a new waste hauler here in a few months ago, and one of the things that was initially a point of confusion was some of the communication on where, you know, how my pickups had changed, what days I had to pick up, and that sort of a thing. And so, once again, pointing to the great job that this staff does. Russell, maybe I think you kind of spearheaded this, but I'm sure some others helped. But they put together. We have this GIS program that basically puts different layers of. It's like you can kind of think of it as a map of the town, and then there's different layers saying here's where your fire wells are, here's where all these different things are. Well, they set one up for our waste, both our waste pickup, a bulk pickup, all of that, and it's awesome. If you go on the website, you don't even have to leave your house. You can go on the website and click on it and bring it up, and it will tell you. You just click on your house, and it'll list on the side when all your pickups are, what district you're in, the whole 9 yards. It is fantastic, and so there's no guesswork, and it's super easy to do. So I probably should have given you a warning I was going to say that, and you could have given a little demo right here, right? If you want to work on it, I'm going to jabber for a little bit longer, and be happy to go back to it. So if you want to work on that. Okay, actually, just a few more things. One of the things I want the council to think about, and I would like to get some resident input on, and that is, I feel like one of the things that's becoming a greater need as we grow as a town is to have more activities that bring our town together. I think the carnival is an excellent example of how when we have an activity like this, it brings our town together. We have an amazing time. We see amazing pictures, and it really is part of the history of who we are. And I think one of the things that we have yet to accomplish that I think is important is to put together some activities for focusing mostly on youth and seniors, and putting together whether it's a soccer organization, maybe a t-ball for the youth, whatever those would be. I'm not an expert on that. And then maybe some activities for our seniors to come out and build that camaraderie and kind of some areas where we can build a greater community for us all. And so what I've talked to Andy about, and we have kind of kicked around to see what it would take, is I'd like to for you all to consider potentially having a part-time person come on for next year, and with that activities director sort of title, probably report up through December, and so basically we'd be talking about a part-time position and some level of budget. Probably, I'm guessing that this would be somewhere, based on what, speaking with Andy, probably somewhere a budget item somewhere between $45,000 and $50,000 between the combination of both the salary and the budget to work with. So I'd like you all to think about that. If you have any initial comments right here, I'm looking at Gary, and it looks like he does have some initial comments. So I'd love to hear him. I'd love to hear him.
The fastest growing sport in America right now.
Pickleball.
Pickleball.
Yeah.
And it's played generally by seniors and
Yes.
younger people.
Yes.
And I think that's something worth looking at.
I think so too.
We have the park space to do it.
My wife would be so proud of you. She's teaches physical education at Palm Beach Atlantic University, and she has been telling me for 15 years, pickleball is coming, and I say, pickle what? You're crazy. You're out of your mind. But it's here. You're absolutely right. It's here. The last 5, 6, 7 years.
Fastest growing sport in
Yeah. It's fantastic.
And it's easy to play.
That's the key.
That's the thing, and it's not
That's the key.
strenuous like handball or
Right.
racquetball or tennis.
Right.
That sort of thing. So
That's
it's
what I
a-
was thinking,
Yeah.
senior T-ball maybe.
There you go. There you go. But any other comments, any other thoughts on it?
Great idea.
Awesome. So think about it, maybe talk to Andy if you have some questions as well as far as putting it all together. But it is an item that I'm going to be requesting for the next budget. Okay. I wanted to just do a shout out for the carnival. Also, I want you to know, this is true. You're going to think I'm making this up, but this is actually true. So last year, we obviously went to it, had an amazing time. And when we got together with the grandkids for Christmas, 2 of them came up to me and asked me, Pops, are we going to the carnival this year? They seriously did. So it's on their calendar. I don't know, it's already on their calendar. And of course, we did go. We had an amazing time again this year, so thank you for that. All right, so here's something that I thought I would never. Oh, okay, we're ready? All right, let's go back to the GIS, and take a look at, so here we are at the website.
From the town website, you would go to the upper right-hand corner where it says Town Resources, and then there's a drop-down list. Click on the Garbage and Recycling tab. And the very first choice is the Solid Waste, Bulk Waste, and Recycling Service lookup. So if you click on that and enter a residential address, so... anyway.
5120 Southwest 195th Terrace.
Don't you live there?
There's somebody I know lives there. My wife lives there. She lets me hang out there as well.
All right, so there it shows, if you look at the marker on the right-hand side, it shows exactly where that location is, and shows you there what zone you're in. So in this case, I believe it says Zone 6, if my eyes aren't deceiving me. On the left-hand side, it shows you the bulk trash schedule. So it shows you your service day for bulk trash is Saturdays, and then it proceeds to show you the exact dates in the month for the following year, for the upcoming year. So every single date for 2023 is populated. Every year we'll update this, obviously. It also shows you your garbage service days. So service days are Wednesday and Saturday. Your recycling service day, which is Wednesday, and also provides your council district and who your council representative is.
Awesome. Perfect. It's amazing. It really is. I mean, it takes all the guesswork out of it. As you can see, it's super easy to get to. And great job.
Thank you.
Great job on putting that together. Really appreciate it.
The team worked on it, and our consultants helped a lot. So it was a group effort for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Yeah, so here's something I never thought I would be bringing up in front of the council, but it is something that is happening, and I'm starting to hear more and more about it, and I think we need to get ahead of this. And that is, I'd like to request for Keith Legal to begin work on a helicopter ordinance. As the, yeah, I know, like what? What is that? As the makeup of some of the properties and homes in our community are getting larger and bigger, there is an inclination to put in the ability to land helicopters on some of the properties. And yeah, I heard this from George. He wanted it. I said, wait a minute. If George wants it, it must be a problem. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No, George did not bring this up to me. But it is a growing problem, not a growing problem. It's not a problem yet, but it's something I can see. I'd like to see us get ahead of it. I definitely, you know, there at least needs to be some sort of a permit process if we were to even consider it. And, you know, it need to be something that would get specific approval. I don't see any reason that we would approve it. You know, maybe we just want to outlaw it. I don't know. You know, I would welcome any feedback into it, but I think we need to pull something together so that we can start talking about it, get out ahead of it, so that it's not, we're not making a one-off decision based on somebody we know or don't know or whatever. Let's get a good policy, a good solid policy in place, and get it on the books, and then we don't have to worry about it anymore. All right, last topic. The last topic, I also wanted to touch on the 911. Had a great meeting with Sheriff Tony along with Jim. We went down there, and I don't know if you all are aware or not, but there is a real kind of a nexus crossing the road where we are right now trying to figure out what's going to happen with 911 in Broward County. Historically, Broward, the BSO has handled the call centers for 911, and they are distributed between 3 different locations within Broward County, kind of disjointed, but all run within BSO. There's a bit of a tug of, not even a bit, there's a heavy tug of war going on between BSO and Broward County itself to run the 911 call centers. And I don't think it's productive. I don't think it's smart. Basically where we sit today, believe it or not, is there is no contract out there. The contract has ran out at the end of the year. They've got a memorandum to keep doing what they're doing while they figure out what the long-range plan is. But frankly, the ideas of what the long-range plan is are as far away as east is from west. They are not close on how they see this moving forward. Broward County wants to take it over and basically put it in their facilities. BSO would like to continue to run it, but build a facility so that it is a central facility close to their BSO facilities, where the rest of BSO headquarters is there on Broward Boulevard. And so it's a big tug of war, and I'm just hoping that you know, the residents of Broward County are not the losers in the tug of war. You know, bear in mind, I heard the presentation from BSO, not one from Broward County, but I feel pretty strongly that BSO has done an amazing job at that. They are the law enforcement, county law enforcement agency, and it just makes a ton of sense for them to continue to do that and to bring it in to more of a centralized location. One of the 3 locations that they're in, all these are just like commercial. They're like in strip shopping centers. They're not hardened facilities. They're not the way they should be. So bringing them into one facility that is a hardened facility that's attached to the main headquarters downtown makes a ton of sense to me. And one of the 3 facilities that they're in, the lease ran out, and the owner of the property says we're not going to renew it after a lot of finagling, they got one more year, but it's done. So we can't just kick this down the road. They need to get a decision made, and so it's going to be something that, I'm hoping that they work out quickly. So it's a big issue, and, it's not one that we can directly impact how it comes out, but certainly if you have feelings about it, I would make them known. Personally, I feel pretty strongly that BSO should continue to run it, and they should bring these three facilities in-house to where it can be run efficiently. All right, I think I'm done too. So appreciate everybody's patience. A lot has gone on in the last month since we've gotten together, but thank you. All right, Keith, legal comments.
Yeah, Mayor, I promise I'll be brief. Thank you for starting by acknowledging Susan Wynn, who was truly one of the founders of the town, one of the founders of Sunshine Ranches. I remember her from when I was probably 8 years old, being an icon here. And, my thoughts and prayers go out to the entire Wynn Sipin family. And those of you who know Samuel Wynn, her family was politically involved in Florida for forever.
Right.
So it was a loss for all of us. And in town issues, the town's fireworks bill is in bill drafting. It's about to come out. When it comes out, it will be assigned a bill number. At that point, I'll announce it publicly and give it to you all as well. The bill number so that everyone can follow it once that number is assigned. But we did get word that it was accepted and that it's currently in drafting. I will work on the helicopter ordinance. Two other things that it reminded me of. I met with Gary Resnick, who does our federal issues, telecom, et cetera, and he suggested we were supposed to bring back that utility ordinance. And he suggested separating it and doing one ordinance just for water and sewer and one ordinance for everything else. He said we were trying to put way too much in one ordinance, that you can't handle federal issues in the one dealing specifically with water and sewer. So with your permission, Mayor, because I know you were one of the ones behind it, I would like to separate it out, make the first ordinance a little bit more narrow, and give it to you for review and
Makes
see
sense.
if you're okay with that.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Keith.
And as Council Member Jablonski mentioned, he and I have been working now for 2 months on finalizing the settlement agreement with Mesa and Vida. Because it's directly located in Rolling Oaks, the district commissioner wanted to have a direct hand in it. We expect the final settlement agreement to come back before you at the next council meeting for approval. But if you go out there and look, and for all the Rolling Oaks residents who are watching, the amount of landscaping, fencing, every improvement that they're doing there is in accordance with the agreement that we've been working on for months now. And I think it's gotten a very good reception by not only the neighbor, but the residents in Rolling Oaks. So other than that, no further legal comments.
Great. Thank you, Keith. Andy.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'll be brief as well. 2 items. One is this Saturday, I wanted to invite all of you and any members of the public who might be interested to come to Town Hall from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The members of Boy Scout Troop 224 are going to be working to replant the beds in front of Town Hall.
Nice.
So we got a good project lined up for them. Members of the Parks Board will be here to participate as well. We have some refreshments that'll be served, and everyone is welcome. And as December says, bring your hat and sunscreen, trowel or spade if you have one, and wish to take part in the planting. So
Awesome.
hope to see you all there.
Great.
The other thing I wanted to touch base with you on is you'd all had some discussion as part of the speed project and trying to slow down. If you take one and pass it, please. Trying to slow down the traffic in town. And so one of the things that we went back to look at was the speed signs, the more permanent ones that you just put up in front of the roadway. And so we've been researching this for quite a bit of time. We got it down to 2 companies. There are some pictures in there, what I have for you, of one of the signs that's in Cooper City. And while the signs themselves are very reasonable, the installation has proved to be very difficult for us to nail down the best price on. So what I wanted to do is tell you that I think what we'd like to do from a staff standpoint is we'd like to buy one of these and try it and see how it works, what it takes to install it, evaluate the data that we get back from it, see how useful it is, to see how effective it is. And so that's our plan going forward is we'll bring one in, we'll start to work with it, and, if we like it and we can make it work, it's something that council can address going forward, whether in the budgeting process or otherwise, however you all choose to go with. Now, the challenge is if we're going to bring one in, where do we put it?
Right.
And so I'd be very happy to hear input from all of you, whether it's tonight or, just to me going forward. And we'll try to determine the best place to go with this. And, and maybe we'll bring in two. But, I don't want to go crazy, but I want to get it in here. I want to try it. I want to see exactly what it's going to take to install it, get a good idea of the data that comes back from it. Because the speed trailers will tell you if you're speeding, and it's great because we can move them around. These are fixed once they're in, but they'll give us a lot more data. And so, if you look at the memo that I have for you there, you'll get a sense of perhaps just how beneficial they could be to do. So we're going to go ahead with that, and I'll look forward to hearing from you all where we should put them, and maybe we'll determine that at the next council meeting.
Andy, go ahead, Bob.
Andy, just a recommendation on these. We've seen vandalism recently in town, and these things are not cheap. Is it possible to put them like at a hand's reach, maybe 10 feet off the ground instead of the standard, speed limit sign height off the ground?
We'll go with what's recommended by the manufacturer, but the one in Cooper City is a little bit higher.
Right.
And yes, we would certainly hold to that standard. You don't want to make it easily reachable if you can avoid it, certainly.
Thank you.
Can I chime in here?
Sure.
Since we're talking about doing one as a prototype and experimental, I'd really not want to wait on something like that, give Andy the go-ahead. I'd like to see us put one on 166.
Yeah, I think that's a good road. I was thinking one of the through roads, to be honest with, like 172nd or Volunteer, but 166 is certainly our raceway as well.
Right. Gary, 166, I appreciate that, but my suggestion would be on Sterling Road, off of Dykes, headed west. You have a medium there where it wouldn't be in front of any individual home or on an easement in front of someone's home. And that whole easement down through there is very accessible. We put one there as a trailer, and the lady that lived across from it just absolutely loved it because she could see the traffic slow down. But I would think if you put it in the center of a street somewhere, easement, instead of in front of someone's house, and instead of 166, maybe on Sterling and, just west of Dykes, someplace like that would be, to me, would be better.
I'm okay with that.
Right.
I think it's worth a try.
Yeah, I definitely think it's worth a
We
try.
definitely have the funding for it. We have and we have the willpower to do it. I mean, and it's just one.
Right.
So I think it's worth
Right.
a shot for a
Wouldn't
prototype.
we want to put it on one of our busiest streets?
I think so, too.
I'm thinking the location that he's talking about, and I'd rather see it on Dykes Road or 172nd or 185th or
Yeah.
the streets we have
I
problems
think
with.
the throughs, I get the advantage of having the median there, but I think some of the north-south through roads are where the biggest issues are, and I would prefer one of those, to be honest with you.
Well, now, you've got varying speeds there on on Dykes. It's a much higher speed limit there. I don't know, what the actual count of speeding tickets are. I know 172nd receives a lot of speeding tickets on 172nd.
See, that's the thing.
But I don't know about Dykes.
Yeah, that's the thing, is if you look at the speeding tickets, the vast majority of them are on Griffin Road.
Yeah.
And I know when we've talked to Davie Police and kind of said, hey, we want, to get more in the interior of the communities and write the tickets. It's tougher to write the tickets there. It's tougher to find a place to hide. It's tougher to, to just make it happen. Traffic is not quite as high. But on those roads, those north-south roads that are through roads, the folks that, live on those roads endure a lot. So, you know, it's tougher to write tickets there. I think it makes sense for one of those roads. But, you know, we need to get Davie PD in the conversation as well, because they can probably give the best recommendations on where the best place is.
Yeah, we're only talking about one.
We're only talking about
And
one.
we're talking, and we know we're going to probably get more, so.
Yeah. Let's put it someplace where it's going to get good data.
Yeah, and we're trying to figure out what the cost is going to be.
Right.
And moving on down the road. So anywhere where you guys want to put it is fine. It's just,
Yeah.
we just need to get one in the ground.
Yeah,
And
well-
figure out the nuts and bolts of it.
Right.
We're going to gather data on this, so I think the location is critical.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I definitely want to get one in the ground, but I do think the location is critical, so that we can we can make a judgment call on the value and the difference it makes. So, yeah. I'm going to open up in just a second here, Newell. Andy, question I had was the challenges that we have for installation. I know you mentioned that to me. We didn't really dig into the details. Does that have an impact on where we put it? In other words, are there some locations that are going to be more challenging than others? Do we need to factor that as well?
I don't think so, because it's really just a single post, a little, a
Okay.
little box post.
Okay.
So that's easy. The complication seems to be in wiring, hooking it up, and the technical aspect of it. The post seems to be actually the easiest part.
Okay.
And really the smallest component. And our sign company has given us really the best price that we have so far. And it's really a not to exceed, because they just don't know what to expect. And that's
Okay.
part of why I want to be able to work through that, because if I'm going to come back to you and say, let's buy more of these, we want to know what we're getting. And I want to be able to be really accurate with you with not only the cost of the signs, but the installation, the upkeep, the maintenance, and quite honestly, the benefit of what we'll get out of it.
Right.
So I think kind of bringing one in as a trial is a perfect way to get a taste. But I think we're headed for more. But I think the location on them that's going to be the easy part. I do.
Okay.
The installation guides are about 35 pages, and it's not just to put the post in the
Right,
ground.
right. All right, very good.
If you want to put it on a north-south run,
Yeah,
178th is a speedway.
yeah. It is a speedway, but it's not a through.
No, it's not a throughway.
It doesn't, I think if we can put it on one of the north-south that actually, is a
185th.
throughway, then we're not, there's a lot of folks that don't, there's a lot of folks that don't live in this town that just, it's a blink of an eye and they don't really concerned about how fast they go.
180, I'd say 185th or 172nd,
Yeah, yeah.
to be honest
Yeah.
with you, because
I think those are both.
that's the cut-throughs for the Weston
Exactly,
Pines
yeah,
area out west.
I agree.
I would have no problem putting one there just to try it out.
Yep, awesome.
Looking at the picture, Mayor, is that solar backup on top? There's a big plate up on top.
Yeah, it's solar.
It's solar.
Yep.
Is the whole unit solar with no electric going to it whatsoever?
Yep, I would ask Andy, but yeah, the answer is yes.
That's correct.
Okay.
Fully
So
solar.
really, there's no electrical that we...
There's no electrical
okay.
hookup.
Just setting a pole and setting, okay,
The batteries need to be replaced every so many years. That's the kind of maintenance Andy's talking about.
okay.
All right.
This is my daughter's
I did see at least one question out there. Newell, if you want to come up to the mic and,
Yeah, what does it look like? You answered part of the question, was whether it was electric or solar.
No.
And solar,
Looks like a sign.
That's one solar.
That's
sign with a hat on top.
Yeah.
It's on 165.
And then the next page shows you what the front looks like.
All right. Andy, I think this is still your time, right? Man, you're as bad as the council. What can I say?
Yeah, why
I was trying to be done, but you all had questions, so.
why don't we just let Andy
I'm done,
pick
Mayor.
between
Thank
those
you.
two roads?
what is the cost then, plus the installation?
We're figuring that out. That's kind of the issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's, we have to try it and see one. Why don't we let Andy pick between one of those two roads?
Yep.
172nd or 185th?
I'll speak with Davie PD, and we'll try to pick the best spot.
Good.
And also evaluate the data that we're going to get back where it would be most useful.
Perfect. All right, you're still on, Andy, right? I'm good. You're good? All right, okay. All right, well, then I guess we can actually start our meeting, huh? All right, item number 11.
This is an ordinance of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, amending the capital improvements element and adopting the 5-year schedule of capital improvements for fiscal years 2023 through 2027 pursuant to Chapter 163 Florida statutes, providing for transmittal to the State Land Planning Agency, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, and we'll wait just a moment.
And
Is there any?
We just lost somebody.
Is there any comment on this? Come on, somebody. I will say this was passed on 5-0 the first time around. This is more of kind of a housekeeping type item. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none? Come on, Noel, I got to fill some space here.
Trying to fill in some dead air.
There we go, there we go. Awesome.
Noel Hollingsworth, I'd like to thank Emil for hitting the ground running on this. After all, we did tell him that we did expect him to bring forth, because it took us so long to train our other individual, who is no longer here but retired happily,
Right.
to get it right. And so he jumped right on it, got it to the comp plan, and we got it to the council, and the council took care of it last time. This is the second reading this time, and so we're very happy that will be up to date.
Awesome.
So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Noel. Appreciate it. All right. If you can please take the roll.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Albritton?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. Thank you. Item number 12.
This is an ordinance on first reading. This is an ordinance of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, amending Chapter 3 of the Town of Southwest Ranches Unified Land Development Code of Ordinances pertaining to dangerous dogs, providing for inclusion in the town's code, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Great. Do I have a motion on this item?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion from the council on this item?
Yeah, I have some questions.
I've got some changes. No.
In this version, I envision a scenario. You have two neighbors that are walking their dogs down a street, and neither neighbors have their dogs on leashes or built loose. And one of the dogs goes up to the other resident, maybe walking up fast, and out of instinct, that owner's dog attacks this second dog that did the initial. And by the reading of this ordinance, the way it is written, that dog that was defending the owner that was initially approached, his dog would be classified as a dangerous dog. And I don't see, the dog was just doing its instinct of protecting its owner. But because both owners had their dogs loose, one dog runs up to another guy and the other dog perceives that as a threat, starts a dog fight. And I see that as a challenging issue for this ordinance as it's written.
So, Keith, what's kind of your take on that? I think normally in a situation like that, would it come down to the police report kind of determining, the dog that is the more aggressive or the aggressor, or would they automatically both become dangerous dogs? Categorize that, and of course, once you have that designation, then there's restrictions associated with that dog.
I mean, a lot of this was to give teeth to Julio.
Yeah.
To be able to cite individuals. So a lot of it comes with discretion by the officer who is actually enforcing this regulation. In the scenario given, I believe, and I just turned to Russell and asked, I think there's actually a state law that does require dogs to be on leashes when outside your property. So you have a situation where two owners are violating state law, and then violate a municipal law. So, there's a lot of, issues. It's like a law school fact pattern. So, it's probably a once in a million scenario, that would transpire, but that's not what this was intended to deal with,
I will say the vast majority, when I see people walking or jogging with their dogs, they're not on a leash. They're just walking or jogging with their dog. And so that's an interesting twist. I don't, I want to make sure we don't, I want to, obviously, there's elements of this that are critical, that are important. We need to move forward. But on the other hand, I don't want to penalize people that, that have no issue with it, but now all of a sudden they've got to do things that they didn't have to do before, so.
I agree.
Let me add to that comment, though. I mean, Keith started off by saying, the police officers have a lot of discretion in how they handle it. Well, let's start with the two owners. I mean, if I'm out running with my dog and you're going in the other direction and your dog or my dog starts trouble, we should be trying to resolve this.
Absolutely.
Now, if you feel strongly enough and you want to call the police, then the official process starts.
Right.
But I wouldn't assume that the scenario, the one in a million scenario, the two owners are just going to go after each other on it. I mean, there's a lot of ifs in here.
Yep, I agree.
So I'd hate to throw this out for that type of a scenario.
Yeah.
I know you feel strongly about it, David, but.
And another issue that I want to put something, whereas a loose dog is not inherently a dangerous dog.
Can you speak better into the mic?
A loose dog is not inherently a dangerous dog. I have a beagle that she just finds a way to get out of my fence.
But I don't think there's anything in here that says a loose dog is a dangerous dog.
Okay.
I mean.
No, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Is that all right?
Clause,
I mean, I
yeah.
just don't want to confuse the issue.
It
It's
won't.
okay?
Yeah,
All right.
it
All right,
won't
then I'm
affect
fine with
anything
it.
in a warehouse
I'm
clause.
fine with it.
Councilmember, if you could just make a motion when the time comes to add that in.
Okay, I'll make that motion at the time.
Then we'll add it.
Any other comments?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
So, in 3-3.1, we have a definition of a dangerous dog that pertains to it biting a human being. Okay, so, if it's aggressively bitten, attacked, endangered, or inflicted severe injury on a human being on public or private property. Well, the next one down is geared towards, animal attacks. And one of the things I heard from our neighbors back when this issue was brought to our attention was that, at the time, Davie PD couldn't do anything about aggressive dogs that may be attacking but hadn't bitten or killed, or, they're climbing in their yard or trying to dig under the fence. So what I'm suggesting is that we use a very similar definition when we're talking about animals. I don't want them to have to bite or kill my chickens, my goats, my whatever, fill in the blank, for them to be a dangerous dog. If they come in my yard regularly and they're attacking my animals or just running into my yard, I'd like to treat it the same way as we would a person. I mean, if they're harassing a person or threatening a person, what's the difference with an animal? I'd hate for them to have to connect for them to be identified as a dangerous dog. So I would change the sub 2 to say has killed or aggressively bitten, attacked, endangered, or inflicted injury to a domestic animal while unprovoked and off the owner's property. If you don't have that, Keith, I can hand you a piece of paper.
I got it emailed earlier.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Does that make sense? You know who I'm talking to. The guy whose goats got attacked that, thank you for getting this started.
I'm going to open it up to the public in just a couple minutes once we get done, so I promise
That's
you
what I
that.
have.
Okay, good. All right. I also had an item that I'm wondering, there's a section here right after, doesn't really have a number or letter by it, but it's right after number 3 there. It starts off with standing, and this is kind of, so aside from the dangerous dog, it says notwithstanding anything else in this ordinance, the dog shall not be classified, and so on and so forth, and all the way down to the very end there, where it talks about protecting or defending a human being in the vicinity of the dog. So what I'm wondering is situations where maybe the mail carrier, maybe the Amazon guy, maybe a Davie police officer doing the vacation watch is on the property, and the dog, gets out and does attack there, when it's really the dog is protecting the property. And so I'm wondering if there needs to be to kind of alert, and I'm asking this, I'm not proposing this, because anytime we do these restrictions, I'm always like, I don't know. But does there need to be something in there to say there is a protection dog or something on the fence, so that those individuals, beware of dog kind of a thing, so that those individuals know that before they come on the property, kind of a warning, so that it's kind of fair ground,
Mayor,
Yeah.
just to state you, what state law has is a similar clause. It basically says if your property is posted with, and I think it says bad dog in state
Okay.
law, a bad dog sign, then essentially if the dog does anything to anyone on your property, it 100% relieves you of any liability.
Okay.
So if you would like me just to mirror that image, that
I
language.
think
from state
so.
law,
Yeah, I think so. I think that would make sense.
Not an issue.
Perfect. Good. Thank you, Keith. Any other comments, adjustments from the council?
No, but it reminds me of a sign I once read that said, she can make the fence in 1.3 seconds, can you?
That would be an effective sign as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, awesome. All right, let me open it up to the public. Any public comments on this item?
No, Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. David, you need to make your amendment. And Bob, I agree entirely with yours, because I'll tell you the case back in the early 1990s, before we became a town. I had about 400 chickens, and they were all show chickens. Went to all the different fairs, everything, all over the state. And they were quite valuable, some of them. And we had a gentleman that moved in with 3 pit bulls, about 10 houses down on 199th. And he let them run wild. And they were good dogs most of the time, except they had never seen farm animals before. And they wanted to chase the horses, and they wanted to nip at their heels. And one of them got killed when the horse kicked it in the head. And one night, they got into my yard, but my chickens were cooped. But there was a big area I had that was all wire and caged, heavy wire and caged, to keep the raccoons and bobcats and everything out. But they sat there and they ran around chasing the chickens inside the coop. And the next morning, 40 of them were dead, almost 40 of them, from fright. And same thing could happen with lambs and sheep and goats and everything else if they run them to death. So I went down, I took the young gentleman to court, small claims court, and I got $30 a chicken. And he was very upset about that, and moved out about 6 months later, because he wouldn't live in this town anymore, this area anymore, because his dogs were then declared dangerous dogs. And he had to take $1 million insurance policy out on each one, because that's what Broward County required at the time. So I understand what Bob is saying. And Bob, that is a good amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Newell.
Well, I have also, I wouldn't mind a dangerous animals, but because you said the animal are on the property, but there are a lot of properties that have no fence. And you know, it's wide open on Holity Trail. The property's there and Holity Trail is there. So there are no fence to protect of someone on the road. Because I've had 2 incidents where I'm running and the neighbor had 2, I guess either they're pit bulls or whatever they are, big ones. And she's sitting on her property out front talking to someone and the dogs are next to her. And I'm coming down the street and I see the dogs and I'm deathly afraid of certain dogs. Not David's, of course, and I start to slow down because these dogs are not leashed, but they're sitting next to her. And she's having a conversation. I'm running. I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe she knows that these dogs will just sit there. Unfortunately for me, the dogs did not sit there. They bolted out of her yard towards me. And by the grace of God, there was a gentleman coming in his pickup that saw what was going to happen. He sped up between me and the dogs. And then she realized what the dogs done. So this is also a problem where there are no fence on some people's house and they think their dogs can just wander in their front yard. It's not a good thing. I'm just for that also. You leash your dog, if you don't have a fence, to protect not only chickens, but humans.
Right. Great. Thank you, Rose.
Council, I'd like to address Hollinsworth's comment of, well, they were only $30. When you have animals, you get up at the crack of dawn every day, you go out, you feed them, you water them, you let them out of their cages, you make sure your fences are up, you make sure your gates are closed. It's a job. And when somebody says, I'll give you $30 for that chicken, or I'll give you $300 for the goat, case closed. No, it's not. First off, there's offspring, there's the emotional feelings that I've mentioned before that goes with it. And in my case, I had a neighbor pay $3,000 for the 8 goats that his dog ripped the throats out of and left there. It was real easy for him to come, put that check in my mailbox, and not have another conversation with me. I still had 8 goats that I had to take care of. Even without the emotion, the task of disposing 8 full-grown goats that are 80 to 100 pounds, there's no teeth in the law to pay you for that stuff. You get paid for what they're worth on the meat market. The other thing with our ordinance for town law that I keep telling people, they say, well, we got state laws that have ordinances. Well, from what I've been told by officers, if a police officer does not witness that dog doing it, they cannot file charges. Whereas with city ordinances, if it happens, then the homeowners can press charges. So that is my thought, that we need this ordinance to pass to protect all of us. Last but not least, when I cycle through the city, we have big properties, we have big dogs, and big dogs can create big problems even if the owners don't mean them to do that. So this will help keep us all in line. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Walt.
All right, quickly pass this out.
Thank you.
I think those you've got copies for everybody.
Huh? Oh, I'm supposed to pass them down?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Take my mask down.
I didn't realize.
First of all, let me say I join you all in expressing our sincere empathy to those who have recently been affected by any dangerous dog situations. It appears to me that the genesis of this proposed ordinance was due to a handful of recent events. And with that said, I'd like to caution all of you not to overreact and start creating ordinance in an attempt to cure something that's already cured. Every incident that's been brought up tonight, including Keith confirming on a few of them, there's already state statute, and there's already Broward County municipal codes. Those codes are extensive. I've taken the time to highlight a lot of the aspects of those codes. And, each resident has the ability to go down to Broward County or make a phone call and fill out a form and file a complaint. They also have the option of filing in county court, against the other party. There are remedies, there are penalties, they're extensive, there are repeat penalties, I think we are trying to create something that is already created. And I think the last thing we want to do is like what David explained, was that this ordinance, this proposed ordinance, has unintended consequences. And there are so many instances where, like David brought up as an example, that could happen, and now our town code, our code of compliance, our magistrate now has to hear and make decisions that may not be based on the case. You have one last thing, you have two dogs, and one dog shows aggression and ends up attacking another dog, and the dog that's victorious is the one that's guilty. Well, that may not be right? We're always going to blame the dog that was victorious. And now we are going to have our special magistrate or our code enforcement now start blaming people that it may not be their fault. And I don't think we want to take that on. We are an animal-friendly and animal-loving town. Let Broward County handle this. Let people use state statute. And I think all of that's already in place. There's tons of information there I think you'll be very impressed with. And handles everything here that I think most people have brought up already. So, all right, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jason.
Public speaking is not my thing, but I wanted to say, when our goats were attacked, I did call animal control, and they did nothing. I emailed them, they hid behind the email, I tried calling. Nothing happened. So Broward County might have ordinances, but they do nothing. Thank you.
Thanks, Dina. Any other public comment? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Any other comments from council?
I have a question for Keith. I mean, Keith, if this is covered by county law, state law, it's not, you're saying? Because, I mean, I've said it 100 times up here, I don't want to create law where there's already law.
There are state laws that police can, enforce. There are county laws that the county could enforce, mainly dealing with the unique circumstance of a dog being dangerous to society, where they might send out animal control. But what this resident just testified to is the more common scenario that Julio gets on a consistent basis, which is them calling animal control and them saying, we're not regulating your municipality in a dog incident in your municipality. Julio, in a recent dog attack, attempted to cite Broward County Code in the notice of violation and was quickly advised that you can't cite someone based on Broward County Code. You have to have your own law in order to issue a citation. So while, yes, the state has laws that can be enforced by police, county has laws that they can enforce if they so choose by their animal control officers. 9 times out of 10, they will not come into our jurisdiction.
Thank you.
So Keith, if I'm hearing this correctly, we need this ordinance to facilitate Davie Police enforcing the dangerous dog ordinance.
I forgot how this actually got to you. I don't remember if it was a council member who asked for it or Julio asked for it, but it was based upon incidents like the sheep attacks and,
it's a council
and
request.
others that prompted the realization that we have nothing in our code that we're able to cite a homeowner for.
Right. Good. Any other council comment on this item?
Another question for Keith, if I could. Newell had mentioned a $1 million policy for the neighbor down the street with his pit bulls. Is this a consequence of is this an existing consequence for a resident whose dog is determined to be dangerous under this ordinance, that they would have to get additional insurance like that?
There's, I mean, no guarantee, but I've never even heard of something like
Okay.
that. I've heard of insurance carriers potentially ask, do you have dogs? And maybe the breed of the dog, and that may affect whether or not they do coverage. But they would not look into a municipality's law when doing coverage. I've never heard of that before.
Okay.
Any other council comment? All right, so we have, I guess what we'll do is we have a motion, a second on the wording the way it is. We have some recommended changes. I'm thinking we vote on it the way it is, and then when it comes back for second reading, we'll have the actual wording that we can vote on for final. Is that how we would do this, Keith?
Generally, the maker of the motion would amend subject to.
Even without the exact wording?
I would, because basically all you're doing now is authorizing us to go in and make those changes.
Okay.
And then you can still change it, obviously, it's only first reading, and then it would be second. But that way, at least the record's clear that you approved it subject to the changes that were outlined by Councilmember Hartman, Councilmember Kozinski, and yourself.
Right, right. So we need a motion to amend this.
Just the maker of I don't remember who made the motion. I did. If Councilmember Hartman would amend his motion to state that approving the ordinance on first reading as amended by the council.
Yes.
And then the second was?
Councilmember Jablonski.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got an amended motion and a second. If we can please call the roll on that.
Councilmember Hartman.
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski.
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Albritton.
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz.
Yes. Great, thank you. Resolutions, item number 13.
Sorry, Mayor. Item number 13 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, assigning the town's planning, zoning, and land use services to Trans Systems Corporation, doing business as Trans Systems Corporation Consultants, as a result of its acquisition of SEPI Engineering and Construction, Inc., or to such other legal entity employing Jeff Kadams, authorizing the mayor, the town administrator, and the town attorney to execute an assignment if necessary, and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We have Jeff Kadams is the town planner, and he has been involved in our town since our town was formed. He's been with several different, the companies may change, but Jeff remains the same. He knows this town and what works and what doesn't work. And so this is, there's yet another corporate change going on, and basically we want Jeff. He's our guy, so that's what this ordinance does. All right. Any further comment from the council?
The only other thing I'd say, you're 100% correct in the analysis, but it's also these companies keep contracting and buying each other and buying, and they could terminate Jeff, and then we'd be stuck with them.
Right.
So the whole purpose of this was to make it clear, no, this is
Yeah.
the planner that we want assigned to the town. So
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none?
I do have a question for Keith.
Yeah.
Keith, since we have assignability in all of our contracts, why is this even necessary?
Assignability in the contract.
I'm sorry, when one company sells to the other, all their contracts remain in force.
Well, they don't remain in force, in my opinion, as it relates to the town. If a meal was to get a request for funds for this new company, I even forgot its name right now, and we don't have a contract with them, I would find it would be suspicious, and I doubt he would pay it.
Okay.
So I think it's done for sound accounting purposes.
Okay.
And to also show the consent of council, but please correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Any further comment? Seeing none.
That's good, you're
Russell?
the last item on the agenda.
Russell, if you can please call the roll.
Councilmember Hartman.
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski.
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Albritton.
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, item number 14, please.
Item number 14 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, accepting and approving an agreement with Cypress Foundation Solutions LLC in the amount of $38,220.00 to complete the foundation encapsulation of Southwest Ranches Volunteer Fire Department modular at 17220 Griffin Road, approving a budget amendment to the fiscal year 2022-2023 town budget, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to enter into an agreement and providing an effective date.
Great, thank you. Do I have a motion on this item?
Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. This has been an ongoing problem. Andy, if you could please kind of give us the overview of that.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Let me tee it up. And we have some photos I want to share with you as well. But this has been an ongoing problem for us, a challenge in that station for a period of years. And we have tried repeatedly to get to the bottom of it. We've had roofers out there because we thought originally.
No pun intended, getting to the, okay.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We've had roofers out there because we thought it might have been a roof leak that started with it. We've added gutters to funnel the water away. We've had various engineers, our engineer and others we've had out there. We've had general contractors. We've had building officials. We've had Lee Lester out there did some earthwork to move the water away. We've tried the protections underneath. And so we have not been able to solve the problem. Just in the short time that Tom has been with us, we have 67 man-hours already invested in repairs in that floor. We've already got 5 soft spots right now that are scheduled for repair next week. So it continues. We had a Davie firefighter who got injured by pressing through the floor a little bit. So we've got a serious problem. It is the greatest issue that Davie Fire Rescue has with us as far as an ongoing problem, and we're working hard to address it. As I said, we've been through just a number of every expert we can think of we've had out there. So we have a company that we think can solve the problem. Austin is here from was it Cypress Foundation Solutions? So I'd rather, if it's all right with you, Mayor, let him come up. I'd like to show the pictures if we can, Russell. But I would like to have Austin come up and speak to his experience with exactly these issues in South Florida, how common it is, and why he thinks this would be the right solution.
Great, great, fantastic. Austin, if you can please come up.
Thanks for having me out. So I'll speak a little bit on it, and then I'll answer some questions if you guys have some.
Can you just state your name and who you're
my name's
with?
Austin. I'm with Cypress Foundation Solutions.
Thank you.
This is one of the most common problems that we deal with. What happens is, especially down in South Florida, is the moisture that gets underneath the crawl space and gets trapped in the insulation down there causes the wood slowly over time to rot and become weak. A lot of homeowners don't go down there until they notice things up top like soft floors. Tom walked me through the fire station, and you could just tell that the wood underneath there is starting to rot. They've had a bunch of instances of it. So our version of fixing this is called encapsulation, but what we do is we clean out the entire crawl space. We seal it off as best as we can from the perimeter, kind of like you can see in the pictures. So we try to stop all of the hot, humid air from getting in there, and then we put 2 dehumidifiers in there. What they do is we set them to a certain humidity reading, and when it gets hot and humid in the crawl space, it's sucking the moisture out, and that's what's basically going to keep the wood in good condition and keep it from rotting in the future.
Interesting, great.
Do you guys have any questions I can answer?
What kind of warranty do you have that this is an appropriate solution? I mean, do you give us our money back if our floor continues to rot?
We have a few different warranties. We have a 25-year warranty on like the liner and the insulation and all that we put on the walls.
No, not your product. What happens if this doesn't solve our problem?
There's no warranty on the wood in the future. I mean, everyone knows that really the only thing that can cause rotted wood is termites and moisture damage. This is a proven solution to keep moisture out of the crawl space. As long as there's leaks and termites that aren't in there, it's a proven solution that it's going to solve the problem.
Thank you.
Question, if there's current damage to the wood, are you replacing that wood?
Yes, that's something that we have in the contract, that the way that the firehouse is built is they have insulation and then it's covered by netting underneath it. so nobody can see all of the wood in the crawl space. Once we clean all that netting out, and are able to look from below and look at the wood, if it's damaged to an extent where we need to either replace it or most likely just sister it, which is butting up a new joist next to the existing joist, then we were going to perform a change order and do that at the time of the job. So we're not quite sure about how much wood needs to be fixed. We won't know that until we're on the job.
Andy, the price that's listed here for this particular job, is that a set price? Is that a not to exceed price?
That's the price to do the job. Now, and
So is
Austin
there
had alluded
additional-
to additional damage. We know that we have 5 soft spots in there. Those are going to be repaired next week. So Tom has done a real good job with keeping in touch with Davie Fire Rescue and with the Volunteer Fire Department. So I don't think we're going to have surprises at that point because we're working hard to stay on top of that and keep those soft spots repaired because we don't want to have injuries. We don't want to have problems now. But that's the price for the job is as quoted.
So if there's a soft spot right now, is your experience that you can dry that out and that will get firm, or is it better to just replace that?
It's better to replace it.
That's what I would think.
It's basically, our work's going to pause the
Yeah.
clock on the wood. It is
And
not
that
gonna make-
cost is not included in this cost,
No.
is that right? That would be additional?
It is not, but we have our other vendor is going to make the soft spots that we're aware of. Those repairs will be done next week because it's going to take them, should
Okay.
you pass it tonight, to get up to speed. So we expect to have the floor intact and solid when they come in.
When they come in and do the job. Good.
So, another question. Russell, do you have an exterior shot of the building itself? I do not. So, have you been out there recently?
Yes, I was out there.
So
bro.
there's a band all the way around the building
Mhm.
of perforated metal that are probably 32nd-inch holes, about a 16th inch apart, all the way around,
Yep.
that are above the area that you would be putting the plastic or whatever your membrane is in there.
Yeah,
How would you control the airflow that's coming in from that? Just not allow continued rotting to occur?
that's a good question. So the plastic is going to go on the ground. It only goes about 6 inches up the wall. We use a foam board that goes up the wall with a mixture of R19 or fiberglass insulation that goes in those cavities. So the foam board on the wall and then the insulation in those cavities, which you just mentioned, are what's going to try as best to stop the air coming from the outside. And the liner is made to stop any moisture that's coming from the
Sure.
ground.
Sure.
And it sounds like any moisture that does come in, that's where the dehumidifier comes into play?
Correct. It's impossible to stop every bit of moisture, just like it is in here. So there's 2 dehumidifiers that will handle the moisture in the air that does get in there.
And the water that's generated through those dehumidifiers, how is that expelled?
So it has a condensate pump, just similar to an HVAC unit. So when it's sucking the moisture out of the air, the pump will take it through a PVC tube and will drip it outside, and it'll be a slow drip, just like your AC unit would.
Thank you.
I got a number of comments to make about
Go ahead.
this. So yesterday, I went out to the, when I saw the price on this, $38,000, I thought, we've put a lot of money into this already.
Right.
Am I comfortable with this solution? Because you can see where, excuse me, where Lee Lester has dug out around the foundation to draw the water away. The water is now carried off. They've replaced the condensate lines from the ACs to, instead of it dripping right next to the building, they go away. There's a couple of other drains that have been installed to take the water from the downspouts, again, away from the building. I looked underneath the building, and I didn't see any water problems under there at all. I mean, it's dry. They've done a good job. They've also re-roofed it, because the other concern is, well, is this coming from, the bottom, or do we have a rain problem? And essentially, I think Andy said, once we put those buildings in, we went over the roofs with elastomeric. It's 3 trailers that are put together as really 2 hallways with offices down the center. So it looks like we've done everything we can to assure that the building itself is dried in. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar, it's basically U-shaped. There's 2 doors down where the fire trucks are. One side is more or less Davie, the other side is bunk rooms, a workout area, and then the TV and kitchen area. That whole side has minimal damage, okay? And when you walk around up by where the gym area is, it's comfortable. I think we saw that the thermostat said it was 72 degrees in that vicinity. When we walked in the back where the guys were watching TV, it's an open space that's, I don't know, probably 20 by 20 or so, that they've got lounge chairs and a big TV up on the wall. That area, the temperature was lower. Then when we walked into that last section, which is where the bunk rooms are, the restrooms, there's a women's room, men's room with showers, the whole works. There's also a washer dryer area. And then as you get, walk to the west towards the fire trucks, there's offices on both sides. To eliminate the thought that there was a roof leak or any kind of water coming in from the top, I walked around with a flashlight, checked it all. It looked like in one of the chief's offices, there was a spot that maybe there was water damage once upon a time, but no active leaks. Now, could there be something coming down through a wall? Possibly, but then they would see it on the floor as well. No problems with the roof, no problems with the walls. There was a dramatic difference in humidity when we walked from the, I'll just call it the TV room, down to the other section where the bathrooms are and the extra bunk rooms. Probably a 20% difference in humidity. Now, when you look at the floors, that's where most of the damage has been done. There were repair spots that are usually the width of the floor joist by, I don't know, 2 feet, 3 feet. And you can see where they've all been patched because there's nothing over it. It's just plywood showing. And I walked around there, and we could not find the source of that humidity. Now, here's the next thing. According to some of the background Tom gave me, there seems to be a mindset that, or in the past, before Tom took control of the situation, they could lower the air conditioning however low they wanted. The whole building could be set at 60. Now, that's a problem. So Tom has taken action to minimize the ability for them to change the thermostat settings. And they were creative. They'd put a light right next to the thermostat so it would generate heat, drive the air conditioners down. They had a dehumidifier, one of the two of them sitting here, that they point at it again to run up the temperature in front of it. When we were in there yesterday, we go into one of the rooms where there's a guy sitting working, and they have the thermostat completely covered in, it looked like T-shirts. I don't know why. I mean, maybe he wanted the temperature to come up. Maybe he wanted it to go down. But there's a certain amount of abuse going on. And I've talked to the chief about possibly getting involved here, and Andy was going to try to work this out so that if there's any observation of turning the thermostat way down or influencing the temperature, other than the town's controls on it, that there needs to be some accountability, okay? Now, I started asking, you know, they have had a ton of experts. I said, why don't you go back to the manufacturer of the building itself? It's only about 5, 6 years old. I think maybe we figured it's 7 or 8 years old because we've got it now 4 or 5 years and Miramar had it for a couple of years. Their answer was, the insulation down below is wet because the building is being kept too cold. So what's happening is the floor itself is cold on, very cold on one side, and then in the summertime, 95 degrees on the outside with 90% humidity, and it's drip, 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 drip into the insulation, which holds the water. And it's in contact with the wood floors. So in my mind, I really am cautious about spending this kind of money on some buildings that will probably be, you know, surplusing in a few years when we build the EOC now. We don't have an exact date on that. I can't say, well, next year, but, you know, roughly $40,000 for this project. If we have the building 4 more years, that's 10 grand a year in this project that we're going to get a life out of.
Do you have any other alternatives?
Yes, I do. So, you know, we have other options. We can take up the floor, leave the insulation down there. Well, first off, it's about the accountability. If these guys are destroying the building and we're telling them, don't set it at 60 degrees, it's supposed to stay at 72 or 74 or whatever the agreed upon temperature is, get them some fans if they're hot, okay? But for the floor itself, because the floor doesn't come back when it's dried out, when it's rot, it's rot.
It's done.
So my suggestion is to take up the floors and, a section at a time, so we don't take out the fire station, and replace it with PT or marine plywood, which all the water in the world, it's not going to rot. It'll last for the duration we need, and then go back over it with sheet vinyl. Now, I mentioned this to Andy yesterday. I doubt he's gotten pricing on it yet. I don't know what plywood, or particularly PT or marine plywood, cost per, for 5/8 plywood. But in my mind, maybe this is the right solution, but I think we ought to look at other options before we spend this kind of money on it. So, and, with fans, my wife grew up in Florida. Her family didn't spend a lot of money on air conditioning, so she grew up with paddle fans. We sleep with a paddle fan every night. I freeze my butt off, but my wife is happy. You know how that works. So in any case, maybe we put paddle fans in the bunk rooms and we give them some of the pedestal fans that are a couple feet off the ground that they can blow across some of these areas and call it a day rather than spend, $38,000, $40,000 on a solution that goes away in a couple of years. So my thoughts.
Bob, why don't, just thinking about what you're saying about replacing the floor, have you thought about putting a thin layer of what's called Dura Rock
Sure.
or Hardy board
Yeah.
underneath the plywood? That's moisture does not go through that.
Right.
Okay, and that's where it's coming from.
You can't do that.
Maybe like an insulator.
Yeah,
for
I
the
don't know
plywood.
I think Hardy board, or I used Durac when I built my house.
Yeah.
It's about twice the price of normal drywall. I don't know how it compares to plywood. But, PT or.
No, I'm saying put plywood over the Hardy board.
What I'm saying is, I wouldn't do both.
Well, I don't think, let's not.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can't engineer.
I'm not,
here,
yeah,
but-
I'm not an engineer,
at
but I
any
wouldn't
rate-
do, I was in construction a long time. I wouldn't do both of those. I just put down, water-resistant plywood, which is either PT or marine plywood. 5/8, which is what's in there. So, just some thoughts.
So Andy, I know that you've started researching Bob's suggestion. What have you found?
We got this far so far. Russell did some crunching today on the amount of marine-grade plywood we would need to do that, which he estimated, Russell, if I'm correct, about $10,000 in material cost, given the current market price on that. That's without replacing the flooring, without the labor, without the
Insulation.
doing that work, the insulation underneath, redoing that, creating a new barrier underneath it. So, if council wishes us to continue to flesh that out, we can, but I'm not sure how much less expensive that's going to be, but just based on the material costs so far.
So here's
That's
my, yeah.
certainly up to the council.
Thanks. So here's my thought. We're working through the contract with Davy as we speak. This is one of the major issues that's left in the contract. I think that this is something that has been frustrating us for a long time, and we need a solution. I think, Bob, what you've brought up is some great points from the standpoint that we need some accountability, and we need, if nothing else, just to save some power, I think getting some paddle fans in there and things like that. It's crazy that the temperature would be that low, and it's even crazier that knowing that it shouldn't be that low, that there are workarounds to make it lower than it should be. So that's a separate issue that needs to be addressed for sure, and I appreciate you calling that out. This is a lot of money, but when you look at it and it is an obstacle to getting our fire contract done, I don't know. We'll see. I want to hear what the other cost is. I want a solution. What I don't want is I don't want to spend $20,000 on doing something else, only to find out and come back 6 months later and spend the $40,000 anyway.
We've done a bunch of
So I kind of feel like we'll see what Andy comes back with, but I kind of feel like we've got a professional here that has dealt with this problem in other situations. I think we need to get our act together with the fire department so that they do the right things there. but my inclination is that I kind of, I want a professional to come in here and do it right and be done with it. I think while I'm, certainly super encouraged that we're making great progress towards getting the permanent facility in place, I think we're still a number of years away from that.
Right.
And I wish it was 2 years, and
Oh, I
and there's
didn't
no
say a
reason.
couple of years.
And there's no reason why it couldn't be, but we all know how these things go. So it's probably more like 4 or 5 years. Hopefully not, but it probably is.
Mayor,
Yes.
why don't we table this?
That's what I was suggesting.
Make a motion to table it.
Can I give one last statement?
Yeah, so let's,
Give Andy time to.
yeah, I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. As soon as we table it, it's done. I don't think our discussion is done, so I'd rather not table it yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Mayor,
I withdraw the motion.
Thank you.
Mayor, I got a question. His idea of replacing with the plywood on the floor, what if you tear the plywood up and the joists that they sit on are bad?
That was going to be my question.
The floor joists that they sit on can also rot. So what happens if you take up the plywood, the floor joists are bad, now you've got floor joists to replace? You don't just slap another piece of wood across the floor joist and hope that it's all right. So, I mean, there can be a whole bunch of problems that we can foresee here, even doing it the way that they're suggesting. Once you remove that insulation, you have no idea what's there.
Right.
The floor joist, the wood, everything. What are you going to replace? I mean,
You-
yeah,
Yeah,
but
so
the
yeah.
cost of it would be, right.
We'll see.
Right.
We'll see. Yep, very true, very true. All right, thank you. I'm going to open it up to the public so some other folks can speak. Any other comments from the public? Walt?
Yeah.
Oh, did you have some other
Yeah, can
comment?
I have something
Okay,
to say?
all right.
So, I've got a lot of experience with replacing subfloor and doing that type of work. One, coming into the firehouse, getting everything out of there, tearing up the subfloor, redoing new subfloor no matter what type of flooring you put down, then putting finished flooring. One, that's very expensive to do. Two, that moisture is not coming from anywhere up top. What's happening is, like, especially in the middle of the summer, that hot, humid air is coming from outside. It comes in, gets into the crawl space. So hot air is meeting a colder crawl space, which is giving like a rainforest effect. So it's condensating, and that hot air wants to rise up, and that's what's getting up in the insulation and up in the wood. So no matter what you do, replacing the flooring and all that, you're still going to have the underlying issue.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, the element of this that I think is key is the dehumidifier that gets the water out from under the facility,
Similar to mobile home repair.
That's,
Yeah.
to me, that's,
But Steve, we live amongst mobile homes all over South Florida. The reason I went originally to the roof was I ended up, when my father-in-law passed away about 10 years ago and needed to replace his floor because he had a roof leak that he didn't get fixed until very late. I tore the whole floor up in his condo, in his mobile home. The only one I left behind was the bathroom because it didn't need it. And I'm seeing the same thing here. I mean, the floor needs to be replaced. Every condo, now his was from
Yeah,
roof
but
water problems, not.
the floor's not that old.
In his place, it was 50 years old.
I don't know about his place.
Oh,
I'm talking
oh,
about
here,
right here.
here.
I'm talking about
Yeah,
here. This
yeah.
is not 50 years old.
Yeah.
This did not, and it's already been repaired. It's like something is
The floors,
inherently.
but we're patching it, is what we're doing. We're not repairing it. Every mobile home in South Florida would have the same problem.
I don't agree with that. I think we've already talked about how the temperature in there could be, a factor.
Sure.
There could be, clearly, if there were, it's not my area of expertise, but clearly if there was a straightforward reason why this was happening, we would have fixed it long ago.
I gave
right?
it to you, but we didn't fix it. It's the temperature.
Well, so that's
according to the manufacturer of the modular buildings.
I'll stand by what I said. I think we can try and fix it ourselves continuously, and we'll be back to this solution 6 months down the line, and Davey will be more pissed off, maybe or maybe not. We'll have a contract, and or we can resolve it. We can get the dehumidifiers in there, and we can resolve it, and it's put to bed, and maybe it's more, maybe it's $10,000 or $15,000 more than what you're saying. I give you that, or maybe it's going to work out the other way. We'll spend that $25,000, and then we'll have to come back and spend the $40,000
I
anyway.
hope this solution works.
I hope it does.
So clearly, you're going that way.
Well, I
And
just,
I don't have confidence in it,
okay.
so.
Okay. All right, so let me open it up to the public.
As some of you guys may know, may not know, I'm a public insurance adjuster.
Yes, he is.
I'm also an expert estimator. I work with this type of stuff every day, and this exact problem happened after Hurricane Michael up in the Panhandle to one of the homes that we renovated with State Farm. And in this case, a big old oak tree, about 50 years old, was taken out by the storm. They took the tree out, and all of a sudden, they were having foundation problems. Alpha One Foundations came in and did basically exactly what this gentleman's talking about doing with the dehumidifiers to make up for the fact that the landscaping that had been removed by the storm was taking out 200 gallons of water a day from underneath that house, and that was naturally keeping it dry. When that tree was taken out, that 200 gallons collected under the house. It started rotting the wood floors that State Farm had just paid to put all brand new hardwood in because they had a crawl space. So all I'm saying is this is an accepted way to handle it. And with Bob, just about every mobile home in a shorter time than not ends up with rotted floors because of that humidity in that crawl space. So, you know, my opinion is this is a suitable solution for the problem that is described for the humidity under the building. If you don't put the visqueen down there, the natural hydration out of our water table that sits at 5-6 feet, I don't know what the level of the pavement or the ground that it's sitting on at the fire station is, but it's not much. We've had homes in Cooper City that can't keep laminate flooring in place because the hydration of the humidity that comes through the concrete and keeps that floor wet. You can take and put a piece of visqueen, come back 24 hours later, and the water droplets are underneath the visqueen. Shows that the water is hydrating from the ground through the slab and creating the problem. So that was just my thoughts. Thanks.
Good.
Noel Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. I did a restoration on a historical structure over in Dania many, many years ago, about 40 years ago. It was a smuggler's house. And underneath it, one of the previous owners after the 30s, is in the 50s, they had put this blanket of insulation underneath it. And it caused the wood to become very soft underneath because that was absorbing the water. One of the main things you need to do is get rid of that blanket insulation that I saw the one picture of that's underneath there. That is your humidity where it's being stored. The other thing is that you've got tin put around the base with the tiny little holes in it. There isn't air percolating through there fast enough, a breeze doesn't get underneath to aerate underneath it. That's the second thing that happened. We removed all of the molding that they put because it was built up. It was an old Florida home built up on pilings over there in Dania. Once we removed that and the blanket insulation, there wasn't any problem underneath. And it was air conditioned to the hilt in there. But it had the aeration, the flow of air freely underneath. And what they did, they put the lattice work that you see, trellises type thing, to keep the animals out. And that was it. But they got rid of the blanket insulation, and they got rid of the wood that was around the base that kept it from being aerated underneath. And that was the cure. And that's the way it's done in old Florida. And that's the way it needs to be done here. If you want to go ahead and put all this other stuff in, go right ahead. but get rid of that damn blanket insulation underneath. Thank you.
Thanks, Newell.
Yeah, just a quick comment.
Sure.
There are lattice about every 10 feet on this building. There's airflow underneath it. The hole I was looking in through, you could feel air coming out. We observed that, so.
Good.
Let me just thank Walt. Yeah, you've changed my mind. You've got experience in this that I don't have, and, mine is in construction, so not in water mitigation, so thank you.
All right.
Walt changed my mind.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, well, I've stated my feeling. I'd like to get this moving and moving forward.
So we don't want to entertain tabling it then?
It's the choice. I mean, I'm not going to say that, to be honest with you, well, no, I was going to say, I mean, I'm always curious to see what the alternative cost is going to be, because that's the number guy in me. But at the end of the day, I think this is the right solution, and I'm really afraid, even if that number came in, half this price, that we would be spending that money, and then 6-8 months later, we would be spending this money.
Well, it wouldn't rot. I mean, that's the difference.
Yeah.
Whether it's pressure treated or it's marine plywood, it's not going to rot with all the humidity. I mean, that's what they make boats out of.
Right.
But, I mean, there's other things to be concerned about, like the joists.
Yeah.
Any other wood that's underneath there is going to rot.
Right.
And it is.
Right.
So,
Okay.
I'm comfortable.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Bob. And I appreciate you going out there and doing the legwork. I do think, Chief, we need to figure out what's going on with that AC and get that under control. Does not sound acceptable. So, thanks. All right. So we do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further comment? Any further public comment? Seeing none, if you can please call the roll.
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Albritton?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right. Item number 15. Andy, I think you had some comments on this.
Yeah, I do. I'd like to.
Can we kick this down the road another month or two?
No.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. It's hard to believe that it's been a year since our last performance review. As has become traditional, we've prepared a summary of the 2022 accomplishments under our watch. That's been provided to you previously. I have extras here, should any of you want them, and we can put them on the back table. And if council would like, we can put it up on the website as well. So while tonight's review is focused on Russell, Emile, and myself, I need to begin by acknowledging the daily hard work of the entire town staff. It's because of their efforts that we can provide such a comprehensive list for your consideration. This is our first review with Emile as part of the team, and I remain very pleased at how seamlessly he has fit into our organization. We haven't missed a beat as we've transitioned him in this new role. The accomplishment list that has been provided to you, we've placed additional copies I can put on the back table, as I said. Just a brief summary, and I know the Vice Mayor touched on some of this before, but I'm going to go ahead with it anyway. A brief summary of our highlights include upgrades to our phone system and the fiber access here in Town Hall, the new lobby kiosk for our residents' use, the townwide LPR system, our new website. We completed the council district boundary review as well as the charter review. We updated our comprehensive development fee schedule. We brought in a total of almost $1.8 million in grants and other funding. We're currently managing almost $8 million in various projects and completed just under $2.5 million. The project list itself is far too extensive to run through here, but you certainly have the list. Future projects in the works are another $5.2 million. We're working to improve safety in town and address speeding with 2 new trailers and new laser guns for our police to use. We've improved the fencing in the ball field out at Country Estates Park. We've maintained our commitment to our community wildlife habitat, the Mayor's Monarch Butterfly Pledge, and Tree City USA. The farmers market has been a huge success. Our budget remains balanced. Our annual audit results were perfect. We also expect to receive the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting again. One of the biggest things we did this year was the successful transition from Waste Pro to WM, or Waste Management. This was something that was extremely challenging as we changed our collection method, we changed some collection days, and we revamped the entire bulk collection process. It was an intricate process, and we worked to roll it out as smoothly as we could. But I'll say that we recognize that communication with the residents and council is crucial to our success as a team. So as I look back at 2022, the communication on the solid waste transition is something that we need to learn from. There are always opportunities for us to improve. And this year, I want to tell you that we'll work to improve our outreach on various projects to the community. As part of that growth, we'll be scheduling various departmental updates for you during upcoming council meetings. Just this week, Russell, Rod, and I spoke and are planning a public works update for one of the February meetings. So in closing, we recognize what a special place Southwest Ranches is. We thank you all for the continued support of the council over the last year, as you have also all been a huge part of the success that we've had. As you've heard me say before, government is the ultimate team sport, and we thank you for allowing us to be part of the team. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Andy. Yeah, it has truly been a great year for our town. A lot of amazing accomplishments, both from what was done out in the field, the funding that was brought in, the teamwork that got it all accomplished, new individuals, replacements, and just all that going on and not missing a beat and still getting everything done. So it was truly a great year, a challenging year. So Keith, I, and Andy met, and we talked a little bit about potentially what the increases should be to recognize the charter officers. And so I know the council has seen that, but we want to get into that. But overall, I just want to make sure that it's clear that it was an exceptional job by the staff this year. Keith, I don't know, do you, I think you normally place.
I mean, Mayor, you were deeply involved in the discussion.
Yep,
so
I certainly was.
I had no problem with you presenting it unless you would like me to, either way.
Okay, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, is the only.
No worries. I mean, in general, what the ask, and I actually confused the ask, so I want to say.
Okay, well, yeah, so I'll go through that.
Yeah.
I can do the general. So what we looked at here for an increase, obviously, this was a different year than what we normally see. Inflation was much higher than what we historically have seen. Actually, it's been that way for year and a half, probably is when it's the time frame. So when we looked at the potential increase for this year, we did something that we have not done in the past, and that is we broke out a inflation portion and or cost of living component, and then a merit component. So the cost of living is basically to keep level with everything that's going on so that the staff is not actually losing ground. And then in addition to that, there's a merit portion, which is a recognition for a job well done. And so at the end of the day, we the proposal that came up was a 6% inflation adjustment. Inflation over the last year has hovered somewhere between 6 and 7.5%. I think 7.6 was the high point. And so we went with a 6% inflation on that, and then a 4% merit, which is in line with what we've done in the past as far as a merit increase. Clearly, this is much higher than what we have done in the past because inflation is much higher than what we've seen in the past. And, I felt it was important that our staff kept up to date, that we weren't losing. I think we've got a team that works well together. We've seen the results of that teamwork, and I think we all recognize the importance of keeping that team together and working forward. So I recognize that this is a larger increase than what we've ever done in the past. There is a question regarding the two components, and that is whether both components are salary increases or whether the cost of living is a salary increase and the merit increase is paid out as a bonus. My understanding as we were having the conversation was that the full 10% would be a salary increase. But there may be some discussion. I'm sure there's going to be some discussion, and I welcome that discussion that we can have there. One other element that I wanted to pull out, and that was with Emil. Emil, bear in mind that these increases are based on a calendar year, not a fiscal year. And so Emil has been here for basically 3/4 of the calendar year, and so there was a proration for Emil based on the fact that he was not there for the full 12 months. So it was 75% of that 10%. So a total of 7.5%, but broken out into those two components of the merit and the inflation. So that was kind of where we're at. Keith, does that reflect? Yep.
It comports with what the discussion was.
Good. And so let me put that out there. I'm sure there's going to be discussion on this, and I welcome that. So
I'll start off. I was kind of surprised, I think is the word properly used, shocked to learn that the merit bonus, we call it a bonus for years, that the town contributed 12% towards the retirement fund from that amount.
Right.
That's the 800-pound gorilla in the room right now, in my mind.
Yeah, and let me be clear. I was unaware of that as well.
Yeah.
So let me just for the residents, let me explain that. So in various years, some years we've done salary increases, some years we've done bonuses. It's just been a year-by-year decision. However, one of the things that I was under the understanding, and I believe probably the entire council was under the understanding, and it certainly is what Gary is expressing, is that the retirement portion was based on salary. There's like a 12% that's paid of salary that goes towards retirement for our staff. And that was based on the salary part. What we found out this week is that the bonus portion also paid out for retirement. That was news to me as well, and was not what I felt the direction of the council was. So, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt.
Well, I don't ever recall making that a discussion or a decision, and I really think something like that is a council decision.
I agree.
Not a staff decision. And apparently, someone in the staff, nobody up here on the dais now, but somebody previously made that decision. Forensically, I do not want to go back and try to find out when that occurred. I think we'll be opening up a can of worms. It's not going to really take us anywhere. But I would definitely refrain from doing that in the future. A bonus is a bonus. It's a standalone. I've never seen additional amounts added to it in my entire work life. So I think that's item number one. And I don't know how you guys feel about that. If we need to make a motion for something like that, or is this a policy? I'd love to hear you, because we need to break this down into components. And I think this is component number one that we need to discuss.
I'll say with total transparency, over my work career, I've been in positions where retirement was paid out of my bonus, and I've had positions where bonus was basically, that was the cash, that was a bonus. Job well done, thank you, and that's it. So I've seen it both ways. There's not a right and a wrong way. I agree with you 100%. It's a policy decision that, should have been made at the council level and was not.
When that was entertained, the person that was implementing it should have said, Let's get council approval on this first,
Absolutely,
and that didn't happen.
correct.
So I think we need to discontinue that at this point. We could bring it back later if we want, if we so desired. But at this point, I think we need to discontinue it in the interests of full transparency. And let's face facts. This is not our money. This is the town of Southwest Ranches, the taxpayers' money. So we need to be judicious in what and how we spend it and how we reward it. This has nothing to do with the personalities in the room. This has nothing to do with the job they do. They do a stellar job. We're talking about something that should not have occurred that we didn't know about. You know, and Bob, if you have anything.
I agree. I mean, I haven't had a situation where bonus money goes towards anything else. It's, in my career, just the companies I've chosen to work for, a bonus was a bonus.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Where I work right now, it does.
Yeah,
It does
no,
get
I'm not
matched.
arguing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's a policy decision of
Yep,
the executive.
it's-
It's that
Exactly,
simple.
exactly.
But I haven't been as fortunate as you have. But anyway, so I tend to feel the same way as Gary. If the council hadn't approved it, it really shouldn't have, never have been.
Right. David, Jim, thoughts on that?
Every bonus I've received had nothing to do with retirement.
Right.
Nothing. And been here 23 years. And every bonus has just been good job.
Okay. Jim?
I figured up, I just wanted to see what the cost was. The 12% on the highest of the salaries would be somewhere around $900 that the 12% would represent towards retirement. And for the others, it'd be somewhere between $500 to $600 for them. You say that this has been going on for a while, you believe. So if you look back, I don't know how long, 5 years, 10 years, there's been a substantial amount paid out, you know, whether it was right, wrong, or indifferent, but there has been a substantial amount paid out if you look at the past 5 to 10 years for each individual person towards the retirement, you know. I've never had a bonus where they paid into my retirement, but, you know, that's something, you know, for me.
Yeah, Andy?
Yeah, just a couple of things. In response to the vice mayor, there's only been a few years, limited numbers of years, where it was given by the council as a bonus as opposed to a performance increase, a salary increase. So there's only been a few incidents of that. It's not year to year. But I will say that bonus, while in the private sector, you know, the cash bonus is maybe not an uncommon thing. In this world, that's not something we'd ever advocate for. And any bonus that we receive is subject to payroll taxes, Social Security, withholding, you know, unemployment, et cetera, which includes, and just in full disclosure, includes an employer share on some of that as well.
Sure.
So there are costs that would go beyond what you might allocate for that. And just for that reason, among others, you know, we would advocate this year for a salary increase as to a bonus to help alleviate this problem and to show the proper growth in our salaries and to avoid compression. Because, for example, the rest of the staff received a 6% cost of living bonus effective October 1st, which you had all budgeted for in the budget process, and which we were able to budget for them and for us, although we didn't receive it, you know, October 1st. But we did budget for that. At the same time, we brought you a substantial reduction in millage. So we were able to very prudently budget for that 6%. And as I said, staff has received that. But I think it's important for, you know, I'm kind of terminal at this point in, you know, in my career. I'll say for the younger guys, it's very important for them to show growth. Right. And not have other staff, I'll say, catch up to them. So I think it's really appropriate that it should be the merit, whatever the council decides, should be an increase as opposed to a bonus. So that's my feelings on the issue. Ultimately, it's certainly up to the council. We're very aware that we serve at your pleasure. Thank you.
Great. So I think we have a consensus at this point that if it's a bonus, that we would not do the retirement at this point. I think that's what I'm hearing. I think,
Right.
I
have
agree.
one piece of confusion. We're talking about a cost of living increase of 6, right? And we're talking about a merit increase of 4.
right.
I'm not hearing the word bonus in those two.
So that
phrases.
was, yeah, that's question number 2,
Right.
right? And actually, I assume that's where you're getting with question number 2. But,
Yeah.
so I was trying to resolve question number 1 before we get to 2.
Okay.
That's the only thing. You know, I'll just, that's the consensus I'm hearing, at least for this year,
To stop that practice at
to
this
stop
point.
that practice.
At this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So then that goes to item number 2. Now, I'll say that when we were having this discussion, we have had in the past where staff, a lot of times, I think, well, I won't single anybody else. Yeah, but a lot of times Andy, if I
Yeah.
remember right, you know, it's important for us, it's important to me that, that our staff is kept in line competitively with the marketplace. We have an incredible staff, and the value they bring, you know, the numbers are the easiest way to see it, and I've lost track of how many years in a row we've had surpluses, year after year after year. That doesn't just happen. That happens because we've got a good staff that really watches over the numbers and does a great job. But it's beyond that. It's, you know, the way they interact with the residents, the relationships they've built at the county level and the state level, the connections they have for grants, and, you know, the tentacles go way out. And so my thought is that I want to make sure that, that they're compensated properly for that. And that they feel comfortable that they are being adequately compensated. Certainly, human nature is human nature, and everybody wants more. Okay, that's just the way the world works. I get
Nobody
it.
complains about being overpaid.
Yeah.
That's why there's billionaires.
So I get it. You know, I felt like the 6% and the 4% merit salary increase would keep us in line with the marketplace. I am very hesitant, me personally, to say that the cost of living is a salary increase and the merit is a bonus. I don't.
That's a conflict of terms, though.
It is.
You don't get bonuses for merit.
For merit, you're rewarded for a job well done, and clearly a job well done describes what happened in the last year.
Right.
Yeah.
So you know, my thought, my proposal when we were having the discussion is that both of these would be salary increases. Is it a big increase? Yes. Is it much bigger than what we've had before in the past? Absolutely. But inflation was out of control for a while, and this is why. And so do I expect this 10% to go on next year? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know, inflation is coming down. I think we're going to, you know, I certainly don't expect this to happen again. But that was my thought process. Yeah.
So I agree with Gary's concept that the bonuses, et cetera, should not be part of retirement. And I also agree with your position that we should combine the 4 and 6 for a 10% salary increase.
That's what it is.
But I do think that the council does need to adopt something to say that the bonuses should not be part of the retirement, just to have that in the future in our back pocket.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's a policy decision that
Jim?
we need to identify.
So
Why do we call it a merit increase to start with? If you're doing a 10% salary increase, why don't you just call it a 10% salary increase? Why do you break it up into 2 sections, merit and salary?
That was kind of my call, Jim, so I'll definitely speak to that. I think it's important that it's broken out so that there's transparency with the residents, so they understand that we're not just giving away 10%, you know, as Gary stated, this is the residents' money. So I think any clarity or transparency that we can add to that, I think is good. I think there's that, and frankly, that was the logic. That was the logic to why, that justification for me, why there should be a 10%, is that, 6% I think is a modest increase when you compare to what actually inflation was like, because I think it was higher over the year. It was higher than 6% on average. And frankly, I think that number, just my personal opinion, is probably low versus what we actually experienced. So I think the 6% is a modest number, but it's a reasonable number. The 4%, I think it's important for the staff to know that they did a great job, and 4% is a very healthy merit increase. So I think it adds transparency.
Thank you. Did you know that Social Security increased 8%?
There you go.
I got an 8% bump in my Social Security check.
And that's what I mean. When I say 6%, when I say 6%, that's a modest increase compared to what actually happened. So if you look at the 10%, and if it's really 8%, right, then you're only talking about a 2% merit increase. I think so.
Do you know when the last time Social Security was adjusted? Under Bubba Clinton. So 8%? Probably could have done better.
Gary.
I'm happy with the 8%. Thank you. I'll take anything.
10% just seems high to me. I'm not comfortable with it. The merit part, I mean, I would have rather seen just one number. I think the merit part here is clouding or confusing the issue with the cost of living. I would rather have just seen a salary increase of XYZ for XYZ person as it goes along, as opposed to breaking it out, and then we found out about the 12%, part, but now we're giving the 12% back by combining them. We just said we'd take that out, and now we're giving it back.
No, to me, those are two separate decisions. One is whether it should be paid on a bonus, and the other is what should the salary increase be.
Right, but the suggestion was just made to combine the two.
To me, this was never a bonus until right before the meeting. Keith mentioned it to me that there was another impression.
Yeah, but I just want to say, clearly, I was the only one who had that impression. By virtue of this conversation, everyone understood it was a 10% salary increase.
Yeah.
So it was just me.
And the 6 and the 4 shouldn't add confusion. The idea there was to explain the 10%. I mean, if we just lumped at 10%, then that gets confusing. But the 6 and the 4.
I could argue that either way. I mean,
okay.
I think 10% is very, very generous.
I think, so what part of it is generous? The 6% against a cost of living that's probably more like 7 to 8%, or the merit of 4% that reflects a job well done? I think both of those are actually conservative, and the number could have been much higher if we were really not watching the numbers, not watching the dollars.
Well, if we're combining the two, which sounds like the direction we're going in, okay, the 10%, I think that is high. I'd be more comfortable with 9% than as opposed to 10%. I'm giving you my thoughts.
Sure. No, it's good. It's good. I appreciate it. Absolutely.
And those, and I'll leave it at that. All right.
Okay.
I just think that's too high. Some people didn't get any cost of living out there. Some people did. And there's no doubt that our team is stellar. They do a great job. We had I asked Emil today how big the surplus was for last year. It's over $300,000, $307,000 to be exact. And we've had a surplus every year. So raising the pay level is not the issue. It's just a question of how much, in my mind. That's where I'm going with that.
Okay.
And I think 9% would be better. I can justify 9% in my mind very easily, based on, like Jim said, Social Security was 8.7 with the CPI and that kind of stuff, and that's over that. Not by much, obviously. But
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't, for all the accomplishments that we talked about, to give a less than 1% increase is, to me, that's kind of a slap in the face, to be honest with you. You know,
I
all
wouldn't
that
look
they've
at-
done and all the projects and all that,
I don't know, I came from a different world. I came from a world where you're expected to do that.
we haven't seen this level of inflation for,
Carter.
yeah,
A long time.
like almost 50 years. you
No, I know that.
So it should feel like too much. The number should feel like it's too high, because we have not lived in this environment in a really long time. So I totally get where you're going, but I think that 10% is a conservative number. And to go below that, I just don't, I don't think it's fair to our staff for the job that they've done, for what they do to our residents. I just, do for our residents,
I think there's a very competitive job market out there.
Yeah.
And I really like these guys that we have. I really, really, really do.
Well, why don't we give them 11 or 12 then?
because I think 10 is kind of the sweet spot between what is,
I'm playing devil's advocate.
I know you are, I know you are. Yeah, and it's a legitimate question. Why did we pick 10?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you know,
that's
why
really
did
where
I
I'm at.
recommend 10? And the answer to that question is I broke it down in those two components. And I thought the 6% was a conservative, I thought the 6% was a conservative view of inflation. I actually think it probably should be higher than that.
Yeah.
But it's a conservative view of it. And the 4% is in line with the increases we've done in the past for a team that has worked very well. So that was my justification, and I feel good about that number. Is it much higher than what I expected? Frankly, you know, if you'd asked me 6 months ago and not having really thought through the process, yeah, it's a lot higher. But having thought through the process as they're prepared for this discussion, I actually think it's a conservative number that still rewards and reflects well on the staff that we've got.
I agree with that. I mean, we were, 8.7 at the highest for inflation?
Yeah.
That hurts everybody in the pocketbook. I mean, we're contributing to wage growth here right now, which contributes to inflation, but that's a completely separate discussion. 6% in my view to cover what was 8% or more. I am happy to do that because I don't want to see us do harm. If we just gave them 4%, they're taking it in the pocket for roughly 8% at that point. Giving them 4, if that's in line with prior years, and I just don't remember those numbers from last year or years prior, I'm comfortable. I mean, nobody has done a poor job here. Nobody has, created a problem. They're doing what's expected plus. I think the list of accomplishments are significant. The other part of it is, I don't know what other cities are doing, but, I see what some of the others are paid, like our next door neighbor to the south, much bigger city. But, the numbers are tremendous. And if we want to keep our people happy and keep them here, to me, this isn't an overreach on our part. I mean, I don't expect the 6% ever again. But I also don't want to penalize them for a job well done just because we're not comfortable with the 6%. I'm all right with 10%.
Andy, you had a comment?
Yeah, two things, Mayor. One is the 6% is in this budget and was planned for. And we went through that process last year during the budget process when inflation was up. And you all, as a council, approved that for staff. So the rest of the staff received that back on October 1st. Not your charter officials, but the rest of the staff got that. As far as the 4%, we budget annually for performance increases for staff based on annual performance reviews, anywhere from 0 to 4%. 4% is the maximum that staff would qualify based on a job well done. We're only asking for the same thing. Certainly no more than the rest of the staff is entitled to and has earned. Thank you.
Mayor?
Yeah.
I just want to add one thing
Yeah.
to clarify a little bit that supports your argument and what Andy said that I found out tonight. Everyone on staff received the 10% salary increase, with the 4 and the 6. Russell?
They received 6 and qualified for up to 4.
Right, but everyone
when they
got
got
the
to the
4.
performance review. They got the 6.
And he told me everyone got the 4 also.
It depends on their evaluation.
Okay.
Some people may have qualified for the 4, some may not.
All right, I just asked him this exact question. He told me everyone across the board qualified for the 4 this year. If he's wrong, he's wrong.
I think there was a misunderstanding in the way it was explained.
Okay.
What Andy said is correct. It's 6 and up
The
to
reason
4.
why I'm saying that is because that 10% that you gave everyone in staff, or might not have given everyone, but most in staff, that you budgeted for, comports with the exact same number that the charter officials are looking for. They're not looking for something different, and I just learned that tonight for the first time. They're not looking for something different than staff. They're looking for the same amount that you all previously budgeted for all of staff.
Right.
In addition to that, and this is just something for Councilmember Jablonski to think in the back of his mind, in the past, when you would give a bonus, you were giving someone a lump sum check, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, whatever it was per charter employee that they would get immediately. Under the way that this is being proposed tonight, this is just a normal salary increase so that if someone leaves or is asked to leave or anything else, that money is not earned. And so I just want to tell you, it actually gives you a little bit more protection because it basically only gets paid out over the course of the year. If I was an employee, I'd rather get that 4 or 6% now, but instead they're spreading it out over the course of the year. So I just wanted to mention those two things, which I just learned in the last 5 minutes.
Good. Thank you, Keith. Okay. All right, let me open it up to the public. Any comments from the public?
Bill Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. You just described your apples and oranges problem.
All right.
The apples being the staff, and now you're dealing with the oranges. And they are orange. But what I'm curious about is we discussed this as part of the regular budget for the staff doing the 6% and the up to 4% as a merit increase. What is the total impact on the town, or the 6% and the 4% for the staff, plus all of the other things like the 12% and the Social Security and all that sort of stuff we have to put in there? And also for the apples. And what is the total for the oranges? What is the total nut when the two are put together that is impacting our budget over the previous year to this year that we're talking about?
Okay.
What is the difference that the impact is going to be to us? That's what I'm looking at, because that says that I divide by how many households we have in town, and I find out how much more I'm going to have to pay. That's all.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Newell. I don't have that number right at on my fingertips, but I will say that, remember. Oh.
For the staff?
No, I don't have staff number. I only have an individual.
Emil, is there a tab in here that we can refer to that may give us a recap on?
Yes, on page 13 of the budget book actually includes the changes, and that amount not only include the employees, but also include the charter office.
So I don't, I just got the picture of it here. I will say that, so for Andy, it is, and I'm approximating because I'm just adding up some numbers in my head here. But for Andy, the merit is about 7,400. The cost of living is about 11,000. So the total is about 18,500. Russell, the merit is about 5,400. the cost of living is about 8,100. So the total is about 13,500. And with a meal, because of the proration, and my phone just turned off, so we'll try it again. Come back, there we go. And so then a meal, the merit is about 3,900, the cost of living is about 5,900, so that is about, 9,800. Yep. All right, any other, yes, Walt?
Okay, I really didn't plan on speaking this much tonight.
This is what happens when you show up, Walt, we put you to work.
I know. Being a business owner, owning 4 or 5 companies in my life before I settled into just being a contract public adjuster. Valuable employees are irreplaceable. I got my beginnings at public supermarkets. I retired after 15 years. We got paid bonuses that were actually part of our salary. It's semantics, but it adds to what did you get for that year. Publix keeps great employees because they take care of them. When I had employees, I made sure they got paid the best because I wanted the best employees. Everywhere we look right now, we're dealing with inflation, we're dealing with extra costs. I don't know how many of you have got your new insurance bill, but you're going to be surprised. And I don't know where the money's going to come from for normal people, average salary people. And we take care of our salary people, but these charter employees put in far more hours and are more key positions and are harder to fill. So over 1% difference in opinion based on how old we are, our work experiences, what we feel is right, what we feel is wrong. I guess that's what this discussion is about tonight. But those charter employees are special apples or special oranges. You just don't go pick that perfect fruit off the tree because you want it. You don't get a contract for X amount of money just because you want it. So when you do get something that is working for you, if you're not rewarding them, especially with the younger generation, they all hop around and change employees. And, you know, I listen to these numbers and I just listened to what my son got with Pompano with the fire department. These are very conservative. And all his numbers go into his retirement as well. So, you know, good for him, but we need to take care of other people the same way. That's my thoughts. Thanks.
Thank you, Walt. All right. I guess, you know, I respect your decision no matter, no matter how you go on it. I think.
I did get some new information tonight on the 10% for all the other employees. So that does sort of have an influence.
Good.
On that I was not aware of.
Right.
So, you know, if you guys want to go with the 10%, if everybody's happy with that, I'll go along with it.
Awesome. Awesome.
I
think
mean,
it's
Want a motion?
The fact that
I just did.
we have a great team, we need to take care of them. I get all that.
Right. I know you do.
But we answer to 8,000 people who want to know why their taxes are up or down or, you know, whatever. I mean, you've gotten the flack, I've gotten it, we've all gotten it over the years.
Yep.
You know, so you have to question it and, you know, come to some sort of consensus.
Right.
You know, as far as that goes. I would like, in the future, we did take care of the 12% based on bonuses. I would like to get rid of the word merit and put in bonus instead.
Well, they're two different things.
Yeah.
They're two different things. This is a merit. If it's just a payout, it's a bonus. Two different things.
Okay.
Those are.
So, but in the future, you could take merit and add that to the COLA or a salary increase without calling it. I look at a merit and see it as a bonus. It's an earned.
Everywhere, I guess I don't know, everywhere I've worked,
Yeah.
merit is a salary increase based on how well you did your job.
Performance.
Yeah. Everywhere I've worked, that's been the definition of merit.
We call it a raise.
Well, a raise is
Sorry,
like
we
the
call it
full
a raise.
10%. It's like the full 10%. That's your raise. That's anyhow.
Cost of
All right.
living never fit into it.
Yeah.
And I've received, I was fortunate enough to receive numerous bonuses throughout my career, but they were called a bonus, and it was a
Yes, me
one-time
too. Me too. It's
lump
called a
sum
bonus.
payment
Yeah,
for good work.
yeah. When I get a bonus, it's not called a merit increase.
Right.
It's a bonus.
Right.
Right.
So I don't know if we're getting tied up in semantics here, or if there's some actual, substantial thing behind it, but I think the word merit is misleading, because I interpreted that as a bonus.
Okay.
Just for future reference.
Okay.
But you guys want to run with the 10%, I'm okay with that. The staff has already received that. I'm fine with that.
Okay. Perfect.
And we've killed the 12%.
Yeah, I would like to take a vote on, let's vote on the increase first, because that's there. And then frankly, I'd like to, Keith, can we do I know it just came up tonight, can we vote on the bonus, or do we need to put that off for another meeting?
Yeah, listen, I think a couple of things. First of all, this was a charter review. I don't think we, official review, we really didn't do that, but you all are.
Hey, I tried that once and I got flack for it, so I'll never do it again. So
Okay.
now Andy and I have a personal conversation about the pros and the cons, and that works out much better.
So you have three choices, well, several choices. One, if you're lumping everyone together, yes, you can do one omnibus motion, lumping everyone together whenever you want to do. In regards to the comment about whether or not in the future bonus should contain the 12%, or should be eligible for the 12%.
For the retirement, just retirement, not 12%.
Yeah, sorry, the retirement amount. I think the council seems united in its position, which is clear on the record, that unless you say otherwise, do not apply that 12%.
Right.
So this is the first time that's ever come up. And
Correct.
I think the record is clear. So I don't personally believe that more is needed. It will be captured in the record in the minutes and everything else. But if you wanted a standalone resolution, we could bring it forward. But I don't personally believe it's legally necessary, because I think that you've made it clear.
That's fine with me.
I'd like it even more clear.
Let's bring a resolution next time, let's just have a resolution.
Then there's no
That way it's on the record and there's no room for, ambiguity. Let's just do that. Okay. All right. So I'm not going to make the motion.
I started to.
Okay. So I just want to be clear what the motion is. So, because we can't just say 10%.
Go for it, David.
We can't just say the 10% because Emil has the prorated amount. Okay? So I want to make sure that that's included properly in the motion. So at the end of the day, the net increases, even though would be Russell at the 10%, Andy at the 10%, and Emil is a prorated 10%, netting out to 7.5%.
For a moment, because, I mean, again, in the private sector, it doesn't work. Usually you use people's anniversary for salary increases. I just want to know what the policy is. If somebody comes to work here, in the staff at, 9 months, well, let's say 3 months into the appraisal year is what we're talking about here. Do we do the same thing? Do we prorate their salary at the beginning of the next fiscal year?
Andy? If somebody starts in the middle of the year, is their increase prorated or not?
For a staff person, we don't do calendar year reviews. So if somebody starts in, let's say, July, they get their 1-year review the following July. So any adjustments would be then, but it would be full because they'd have a
They
year
have a
Right.
in the system.
Salary increases are based on their anniversary date.
Anniversary date, yes,
Versus like you guys are on a particular date.
correct. Well, this is,
So this nets it out, so it's fair.
Right.
yeah, this is based on our performance review. And can I complicate things for just a moment, Mayor?
If I say no, will you stop?
I'm gonna do it anyway.
Okay.
It's 11:15.
We're already started on this item. On the 6%, and I'm going to go back to the 6 and 4 for a moment, if I may. On the 6 and 4, that 6 became effective for the staff October 1st with the fiscal year. The performance increase, whatever council deems that to be, would be effective with review date, or am I?
Yeah, I don't want to go there.
That's more
Okay.
confusing.
Thanks, but no thanks.
So what's the answer?
What's your thoughts, Bob?
Well, I would defer until the increase until he's here a year. I mean, you're looking at prorate. I'm looking to defer. I think it's 6 and 1/2 instead of the other.
No, because then he's separate from the other ones for every
No.
year thereafter.
No, he'd be, but that's what I'm saying. It's 6 and 1/2 a dozen of the
I
other.
think this aligns everybody the same calendar year, and from then on, there's no difference.
So when we
It's fair.
negotiated with him, we should have knocked 25%. Anyway.
All right. Ready?
All right, so, yeah, can I get a motion?
I move that we give a 10% increase to Russell, a 10% increase to Andy, and for Emil, the prorated 10%.
Netting out to 7.5%.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you. All right, that's the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? If you could please call the roll, Russell.
A moment.
Do you have a comment first?
I have a question,
Okay.
just for clarification purposes, and I
Okay.
think Andy was trying to ask the question, but I don't know if it was interpreted the same way. And again, I don't want to sound ungrateful, just want clarification because don't want to have a repeat of misinterpretation next year. The 10% that we're talking about, as Andy mentioned, we have in the past, our anniversaries or our evaluations are done in December, and they typically become effective January 1st. So,
Retroactive.
I'm sorry?
You're talking about retroactive?
This would be
Correct,
retroactive.
right. The component of the 6% was effectuated in October. Are we talking about making that retroactive to October 1st, or is that start January 1st? And we're doing everything as a merit increase? That's, I guess, the question.
Changes in-
I thought it was January 1st.
Okay, I just wanted
Yeah.
clarification.
Yeah.
That's all I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Okay, so can I write that as part of the motion?
Yes.
Okay, effective January 1st. So we have clear direction. That's, I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
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 Sorry
all-
about that.
1.5 would change as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Councilmember Hartman.
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski.
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Albritton.
Yes?
Mayor Brikers.
Yes.
Motion passes.
This
Thank
is
you,
the
Mayor and
worst
Council.
job we have.
Yeah.
It is.
I had 455 people working for me with 37 managers. I couldn't see doing my manager's reviews in a room full of people
I know.
and all their staff,
I know.
government.
I'll say it's not our favorite part either, but thank you all very much.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, now that we've got that.
All right, so we've got some minutes. Wherever my,
Make a motion to approve the minutes, all three of them.
Second,
Thank you.
and second.
all right, is there any discussion, correction on the minutes? From the council, seeing none.
Mayor, who seconded that? We missed it.
Bob did. Any discussion, corrections to the minutes from the public? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Hartman.
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski.
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Albritton.
Yes?
Mayor Brikers.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Gary?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.